Doupo, outstanding intelligence. Starting by joining the chat group. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101. New Bukun is a little bit arrogant, and Wang Teng is being squeezed. The world of swordsmen. Huashan sect. Yu Bukun was teaching Huashan disciples to practice, when a strange voice suddenly sounded in his mind, and then a virtual interface appeared. Yu Bukun looked at Ning Zong's beside him and asked in a deep voice, "Junior sister, did you hear any sound?" Ning Zong shook his head and said, "What sound? Apart from the sound of the disciples practicing swords, there is nothing else special." Yu Bukun was about to say something else, but happened to see the message in the chat group where Xiaoxiao introduced the Wanji chat group. After a slight hesitation, Yu Bukun said to Ning Zong's, "Junior sister, watch them practice first. I'll be back soon." After that, without waiting for Ning Zong's response, Yu Bukun returned to the Zenkai Xiaoxiao hall. Yu Lingshan jumped to Ning Zong's side and asked curiously, "Mom, what did Dad do?" Ning Zong shook his head slightly. "Your dad just went to rest for a while. Let me watch you practice. Don't be lazy." Yu Lingshan stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, "Mom, I'm tired too. I'll rest for a while, and when Dad comes back, I'll go practice sword again immediately." Ning Zong looked at Yu Lingshan lovingly, shook his head slightly, and said nothing. On the other side, after Yu Bukun returned to the Zenkai Xiaoxiao hall, he focused on the virtual chat interface. The Wanji chat group can travel through different worlds, and the chat group points can improve the cultivation. Looking at the various chat group functions introduced by Xiaoxiao, Yu Bukun couldn't help showing a bit of enthusiasm in his eyes. "Try it first." Ding! Yu Bukun signed in successfully and got 100 points. I don't know if these points can really improve the strength of cultivation. After Yu Bukun tried the sign-in function, he thought of another function that made him excited, and immediately chose to use points to improve his cultivation. You use 10 points, and your cultivation level is raised to the 7th level of the acquired heaven. You use 10 points, and your cultivation level is raised to the 8th level of the acquired heaven. You use 10 points, and your cultivation level is raised to the 9th level of the acquired heaven. Insufficient points. The world of swordsmen can be said to be the lowest among the low martial arts. The original Yu Bukun's cultivation level reached the 6th level of the acquired heaven, which was already considered strong in the martial arts world. When Yu Bukun sensed that his cultivation level had really been raised from the 6th level of the acquired heaven to the 9th level of the acquired heaven, his heart was immediately filled with surprise, and he no longer had any doubts about the Wanji chat group. After browsing the messages of the group members, Yu Bukun also responded cautiously. Yu Bukun, thank you all for your welcome. Yu Bukun, at Xiaoxiao, thank you Miss Su for introducing the chat group function on Yu's behalf. Xiaoxiao, at Yu Bukun, you're welcome. I'm following the orders of Lord Thunder Emperor. You should thank Lord Thunder Emperor. Yu Bukun, at Xiao Fan, thank you Lord Thunder Emperor. Xiao Fan, it's fate that we can join the same chat group from all the heavens and the worlds. You're welcome. Yan Lingjai, unfortunately, Yu Bukun's check-in points are too few. I can't bear to let him send a red envelope. Spreading hands. Huang Rong, Yan Lingjai, you and Xiaoxiao are bad. You only know how to ask others to send red envelopes every day. Why don't you send a red envelope? Smirk. Xiaoxiao, this is not my fault. I don't ask for red envelopes every day. Of course, if you want to send red envelopes, I don't mind. Playful. Qian Renxu, I'll send a red envelope to celebrate the newcomers joining the group. It's also a way to help the newcomers. It has always been Lord Thunder Emperor who has helped us. I think we should respond to Lord Thunder Emperor's call and help each other more. Red envelope. Yan Lingjai received Qian Renxu's red envelope and received 500 points. Xiaoxiao received Qian Renxu's red envelope and received 200 points. Yu Bukun received Qian Renxu's red envelope and received 300 points. Dao Longnu received Qian Renxu's red envelope and received 400 points. Zhang Yuan, soon, All the members in the group received Qian Renxu's red envelopes. Xiao Fan also clicked to receive and received 800 points. Although the points are not many, it is always pleasant to grab red envelopes, isn't it? Xiao Fan, at Qian Renxu. Thank you Xiaoxiao. Xiaoxiao did a good job. Everyone should learn more from her. Qian Renxu. Thank you Lord Thunder Emperor for the compliment. Happy, Yan Lingjai, at Qian Renxu. Thank you Sister Zhu. Love you. Hug, Yubuku, at Qian Renxu. Thank you. Soon, others also expressed their gratitude to Qian Renxu. After Yubuku received the points, he immediately tried to use the points to improve his cultivation without hesitation. After spending the 300 points he had just snatched, he directly upgraded to the 3rd level of the innate realm. This chat group is really too strong. In such a short period of time, I was able to directly upgrade from the 6th level of the acquired realm to the 3rd level of the innate realm. Not bad. With my current strength, I no longer have to worry about the threat of the Songshan sect. Even the Sun and Moon Divine sect may not be impossible to touch. Sensing his rapidly improving cultivation, Yubukun suddenly became a little proud. After a while of excitement, Yubukun looked at the chat group interface again, but found that the atmosphere in the chat group seemed to have changed subtly. Wang Teng, this emperor is practicing, but was disturbed by the news from the chat group. I thought it was a big deal. I didn't expect that you would be so servile for just a few hundred points. It really disappoints this emperor. IP man, Miss Qian Renxu sent a red envelope, and we are expressing our gratitude. How can this be considered servile? Huang Rong, that's right. Master Wang disliked the small red envelope sent by Qian Renxu. Why don't you send a big red envelope? I'm afraid you can't send out too many, so just send 10 million points as a token of your appreciation. Provocation. Wan. Looking forward to the big red envelope. Looking forward, Qian Renxu. My strength is limited, and the red envelope I sent is indeed a bit small. Next, Master Wang, please perform. Spreading hands. Wang Teng, why should I send you red envelopes? And 10 million points. What are you dreaming of? Yan Lingjai, at Wang Teng, you only know how to talk big. You were so loud last time, and finally you were severely taught a lesson by Brother Xiao Fan, right? I heard from Xiaoxiao that if Brother Xiao Fan hadn't shown mercy, you would have died? Picking nose. Dongba, we are all group members. I think we should not hurt the harmony. Why don't you just send a red envelope to make things lively, so that the old things don't need to be brought up again? What do you think? Zhang Yuan, what the Zhonggang leader said makes sense. Zhu Yuanzhang, this is a good proposal, and I agree with it. Alongv, I agree. Xiaoxiao, the Wanggong Tsai is still very generous, I can testify to this. He sent me 1 million points last time. Hiss. 1 million points, too strong. If I had 1 million points, I could directly sweep the whole world, right? Maybe 1/10 is enough. Well, 1% is not a small amount. Yubukun looked at the message in the chat group, his eyes widened, and he was looking forward to it. Xiao Fan also looked at the message in the chat group with some amusement, wanting to see how Wang Teng would react. I saw that some readers said that they hope to add quotation marks to the chat group messages. Here I would like to solicit your opinions. If you want to add quotation marks, reply 1, and if you don't want to add quotation marks, reply 2. It will be decided whether to add quotation marks to the chat group messages in the following text based on the situation. Finally, I would like to ask for recommendation tickets, monthly tickets, rewards, and 5-star praise. Any data support is fine. Thank you to all the friends who support this book. I wish you all good fortune every day and everything goes well. Chapter 102 Tushan Honglong asks for help. Wang Teng, Xiaoxiao, you have good judgment. As for the others, humph, I won't give you any red envelopes. Xiaoxiao's exclusive red envelope. Xiaoxiao received Wang Teng's red envelope and got 100,000 points. Xiaoxiao, at Wang Teng, thank you, Master Wang. Thanks, Wang Teng, call me Biddy. Arrogance, in the world of demon resurrection. Xiaoxiao looked at Wang Teng's message and couldn't help but laugh. Isn't it just a change of name to flatter? Would she, Xiaoxiao, care about this? Xiaoxiao, Okay. Thank you Biddy. In the world of smiling proud wanderer, Yubukun looked at the message record in the group, rolled his eyes, and followed with a message. Yubukun, at Wang Teng, meet Biddy. You just joined the group. I don't know anything, please take care of me. Wang Teng, no problem. You are not bad either. Yubukun's exclusive red envelope. Yubukun received Wang Teng's red envelope and got 10,000 points. In the world of swordsmen, Huashan sect, Zhengkai Xiao Hall. Yubukun looked at the points he received, and his face was suddenly full of joy. Although Wang Teng gave Xiaoxiao 100,000 points and gave him 10,000 points, this also made him very excited. These points are enough for him to soar all the way to the 9th level of the Grandmaster realm. The strongest Dongfang Bubai in the world today is only at the Xianchen realm. Yubukun, at Wang Teng, thank you, Lord Biddy. Thanks. In the world of shrouding the sky, Wang Teng looked at the news about Xiaoxiao and Yubukun, and his face looked much better. Wang Teng, in the future, as long as you support this emperor will not hesitate to reward you. Yan Lingjai, what's so great about it, and who cares about rewards? Disdain. Yi Wen, at Yubukun, Mr. Yu, I advise you that it is not good to stand on the side rashly. I have to withdraw in advance. Huang Rong, at Xiaoxiao, do you know the information of the 2 new members? Speaking of which, why hasn't the other new member come out yet? He hasn't even received the red envelope. Xiaoxiao, as for the news about the new member, I naturally know about it. Yubukun is from the world of laughing proudly. He is the head of the Huashan sect and is nicknamed the Gentleman's Sword. However, some of the things he does behind the scenes can be called a hypocrite. Of course, now that he has joined the chat group, his strength has also been improved, and his fate will definitely change. Qian Renxu, at Xiaoxiao, tell me in detail. Zhang Yuan, I am also very curious. Yubukun, at Xiaoxiao, Miss Su, please don't slander Yum. How can Yum be a hypocrite? Xiaoxiao, at Yubukun, I know you are very anxious, but don't be anxious, listen to me in detail. Yan Lingjai, at Yubukun, so you are such a gentleman's sword. Contempt, sure enough, the so-called righteous people are all the same, appearing righteous on the surface, but being despicable and shameless behind the scenes. Xiao Fan, okay, everyone, don't look down on Master Yu. With the points sent by Wang Teng, Master Yu will soon be able to crush the whole world, and there is no need to resort to any dirty tricks. Yubukun, ahem, what Lord Thunder Emperor said is very true. Those are things that have never happened. How can they count? Now, I haven't sent any disciples to Fuzu yet. Let's not talk about my things, let's talk about another newcomer. Xiaoxiao, speaking of which, the other new member is actually not a human, but a cute fox girl. A vixen. It seems to be a man's favorite. Naughty. Xiao Fan, at, stop talking nonsense, don't scare the newcomer. Xiao Fan, at Tushan Hongong, why doesn't the newcomer speak? I wonder if you are the master of Tushan now? Don't you hope that humans and demons can live in harmony? Maybe you can start by making friends with other group members. The world of Fox Demon Little Matchmaker is in a Taoist temple in the wilderness. Tushan Hongong and her sister Tushan Rongarong were trapped in a cage at this time. Tushan Hongong's heart was full of despair, but a series of strange voices suddenly sounded in her mind. Moreover, a virtual screen appeared in her sight. After careful study for a while, combined with Xiaoxiao's introduction, Tushan Hongong also had a general understanding of the chat group function. The most important point is that Tushan Hongong knows that you can't travel to other worlds through the chat group. Now she and her sister are trapped in the cage, and the 2 Taoist priests who arrested them intend to sell them to the brothel of humans. Tushan Hongong is full of despair at this moment, and she wants to take her sister away from this world. However, Tushan Hongong found that the chat group that suddenly appeared was communicating with all humans. Tushan Hongong was a little worried that the humans in the chat group would also hurt her sisters, so she kept watching the chat group interface silently and did not send any messages. Seeing Xiao Fan's message, Tushan Hongong couldn't help but frowned. Will I become the master of Tushan? I hope that humans and monsters can live in harmony. Why don't I know it myself? Could it be that that will happen in the future? From Xiaoxiao's introduction of Yu Bukum's deeds and Yu Bukum's response, Tushan Honglong also judged that Xiaoxiao might know the future deeds of other members. After a moment of silence, Tushan Honglong still sent a message. Tushan Honglong, I am not the Lord of Tushan. Are you really willing to live in harmony with the demons? Xiao Fan, as long as they are not demons who kill humans indiscriminately, I think it is still possible. I have several demon friends around me, Medusa, Zhou, Kinglin, and the purple crystal-winged Lion King. Well, they can barely be considered demons. Xiaoxiao, at Tushan Honglong, if you have not become the Lord of Tushan yet, have you ever been caught by a Taoist priest? Tushan Honglong looked at the message from Xiao Fan and Xiaoxiao, and her eyes flashed slightly. At this moment, Tushan Honglong heard footsteps not far away. Tushan Honglong immediately thought of the two Taoist priests who caught them. During the day, the old Taoist priest wanted to insult her. Hearing the noise, Tushan Honglong suddenly became a little nervous, and had to regard the chat group as her last hope. Tushan Honglong, my sister and I are now being locked in a cage by a Taoist priest. Whoever can save us, I will definitely repay him in the future. When Xiao Fan saw Tushan Honglong's message, his heart moved slightly. It seems that the plot has not officially started yet. Thinking in his heart, Xiao Fan sent a message in the group. Xiao Fan, wait, I will save you now. Xiao Fan has not signed in for a while. It happened to be time to sign in the past. And by the way, I also saw what the fox demon little matchmaker looks like. Xiaoxiao, hee, Lord Thunder Emperor, I like heroes saving beauties the most. Naughty, Yan Lingjai, I wonder what fox demons look like. Curious, Zhu Yuanzhang, I didn't expect that demons really exist. Wang Teng, what a fuss, there are so many powerful demons in the world where this emperor is. Qian Renxu, what is the relationship between humans and demons in your world? Qian Renxu also thought that in the Duo world, the relationship between humans and soul beasts has always been irreconcilable. What Xiao Fan said before, can humans and demons live in harmony? Xiao Fan ignored the messages in the group, and after replying to Tushan Honglong, Xiao Fan directly traveled to the world of Fox Demon Little Matchmaker through the chat group. The first thing that caught Xiao Fan's sight was two steel cages, in which there were two girls with fox ears. Chapter 103 Rescue the Tushan Sisters. New sign-in. One of them a long golden orange hair that reached her waist, tied with a red bow at the end of her hair, wearing a red ancient skirt with a white long-sleeved robe, and a golden bell foot ring on her feet. She looked a little more mature. And it was Tushan Honglong. The other one had long green hair and bangs, and looked a little weak. She was Tushan Rongarong, the third sister of Tushan Honglong. Tushan Honglong and Tushan Rongarong looked at the illusory light gate that suddenly appeared in the air, and then Xiao Fan walked out of the light gate, and their eyes widened immediately. Sister, did you see the immortal? Tushan Rongarong tilted her head and looked at Tushan Honglong, blinking and asked. Without waiting for Tushan Honglong to answer, Xiao Fan smiled and responded, you are Tushan Rongarong, right? My name is Xiao Fan. I am not an immortal, but your sister's friend. I came here to save you. Tushan Honglong had already guessed in her heart, and she was relieved when she heard Xiao Fan's words. At the same time, she was more convinced of the function of the Wanji chat group. Master Thunder Emperor, thank you. Tushan Honglong recalled how everyone in the chat group addressed Xiao Fan, and expressed her gratitude to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan said, we are all friends because we have the chance to meet. You can just call me by my name. I will let you out first. As he spoke, Xiao Fan walked to the cage, stretched out his hand and tore off the demon-killing talisman on Tushan Honglong's body, and then grabbed the chain on the cage, pulled it apart with a little force, and then opened the iron door of the cage. After releasing Tushan Honglong, Xiao Fan did the same thing and released Tushan Rongarong from the cage. Thank you, Master Xiao. After being rescued, Tushan Honglong thanked Xiao Fan again. Tushan Rongarong also followed her sister and thanked Xiao Fan, and at the same time looked at her sister's mysterious friend with some curiosity. At this time, an ugly little Taoist priest came here quietly. Seeing Xiao Fan suddenly appearing, and the sisters Tushan Honglong and Tushan Rongarong who were released by Xiao Fan. He was a little surprised. When Tushan Honglong saw the little Taoist priest, her face suddenly turned cold, and her originally light green eyes turned red. She was ready to kill the little Taoist priest to silence him, and also to take revenge. Xiao Fan stopped her at this time. Don't be impulsive. This little Taoist priest should have no ill will towards you. When the little Taoist priest heard what Xiao Fan said, he hurriedly said, "This young master is right. I came here to tear off the demon-killing talisman and let you go, because I once had a very good fox demon friend." Immediately, the little Taoist priest told Xiao Fan and the Tushan sisters the story of himself and his fox demon friend. After listening to the story of the little Taoist priest, Tushan Honglong and Tushan Rongarong fell silent. Xiao Fan said at this time, "The one who really deserves to die is that old Taoist priest. If you want to take revenge, just kill that old Taoist priest." Yes, the old Taoist priest who wants to insult our sisters deserves to die the most. When Tushan Honglong heard Xiao Fan's words, she immediately remembered the scene of the old Taoist priest torturing Tushan Rongarong before. She showed murderous intent again and rushed to the location of the old Taoist priest. Xiao Fan glanced at the young Taoist priest and said lightly, "You go. It's better to be an ordinary person in the future." The young Taoist priest looked at Xiao Fan and Tushan Rongarong with a complicated expression, and then walked out of the temple silently. After the young Taoist priest left, Xiao Fan said to Tushan Rongarong, "Let's go to your sister's place to see, so as to avoid any unexpected situation." "Yeah." Tushan Rongarong heard the words and quickly agreed, and then followed Xiao Fan and went in the direction of Tushan Honglong. When Xiao Fan and Tushan Rongarong rushed over, Tushan Honglong had already fought with the Taoist priest and was still in the upper hand. Seeing this, Xiao Fan did not intervene, but stood aside with Tushan Rongarong and watched the show silently. The old Taoist priest did not have the demon-killing talisman in his hand. Seeing that he was no match for Tushan Honglong, his eyes flashed and he set his sights on Tushan Rongarong on the side. The old Taoist priest knew that Tushan Honglong valued Tushan Rongarong very much. As long as he caught Tushan Rongarong, he could threaten Tushan Honglong. After another attack with Tushan Honglong, the old Taoist priest used the recoil force and rushed towards Tushan Rongarong with a cruel smile in his eyes. "Ah!" Tushan Rongarong screamed in fear when she saw the old Taoist priest rushing towards her. Tushan Rongarong's current strength is still far behind, and she has almost no ability to fight back against the old Taoist priest. Seeing this, Tushan Honglong was immediately shocked and angry. "Old Taoist, you are looking for death." Xiao Fan and Tushan Rongarong stood together, and they also became the target of the old Taoist's attack. They couldn't help but shake their heads slightly. "You are looking for death yourself, so you can't blame me," Xiao Fan said lightly, and at the same time, he waved his hand casually, and a purple lightning instantly hit the old Taoist. Crackle! A flash of lightning arcs. The old Taoist was instantly electrocuted into charcoal, and he didn't even have time to scream, and he was out of breath. So powerful. Tushan Rongarong saw that Xiao Fan's casual attack turned the old Taoist into charcoal, and her eyes widened, and she was shocked. She looked at Xiao Fan with admiration. Tushan Honglong was also quite shocked. The old Taoist was not much worse than her. If he used the talisman, she would not be his opponent. But Xiao Fan easily killed the old Taoist with one move, which was too powerful. However, Tushan Honglong was much more stable than Tushan Rongarong. She did not show too much emotion in her heart. She stepped forward and said to Xiao Fan, "Thank you, Mr. Xiao. You have helped us sisters again." Xiao Fan said casually, "It's just a small favor." "You are welcome. You should be going back to Tushan now, right? Do you need me to take you there?" "Yes, yes." Without waiting for Tushan Rongarong to speak, Tushan Rongarong beside her said happily. Tushan Rongarong did not want to experience being caught again. With Xiao Fan, a great master, to take them there, they did not have to worry about encountering danger. Seeing that Tushan Rongarong had agreed, Tushan Honglong said, "Then I will trouble you, Mr. Xiao." Xiao Fan smiled faintly, "No trouble. You can point out the direction and distance. I will break through the space and take you back. We will be there soon." Tushan Honglong was surprised again when she heard this, and immediately pointed out the location of Tushan to Xiao Fan. "Don't resist," Xiao Fan said to the two girls, holding one of them in one hand, and directly broke a space wormhole, leading the two girls into the space wormhole. The two girls just felt shy, and Xiao Fan had already taken them back to Tushan. Xiao Fan let the two girls go and smiled. "Look, is this Tushan? We're here already?" "That's too fast." Tushan Rong looked around and found that she had returned to Tushan. She was surprised and admired Xiao Fan even more. Tushan Honglong was also very shocked and nodded. "This is the Tushan where we live." Xiao Fan nodded and said, "Since you're home, there must be no danger. I will go back first." Tushan Rong immediately said, "Mr. Xiao, why don't you come to our house as a guest? My sister and I want to thank you very much." Tushan Honglong then also invited Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan pondered for a moment, nodded and agreed, and then walked to their home in Tushan with the Tushan sisters. Xiao Fan realized that he hadn't signed in yet, so he mentally gave the system a sign-in instruction. System, sign in. Chapter 104 Continuous sign-in, letter from home. Ding. Sign-in successful. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained the magical power of the heaven and earth. Note, the use of this magical power will make the caster's body gigantic, imitating the scale of heaven and earth. In theory, it can be as tall as the sky and as wide as the earth, the heaven and earth. Isn't this the magical power used by Erlang Shen and Sun Wukong in Journey to the West? Hearing the content of the system reward, Xiao Fan was suddenly excited. Another very powerful magical power. "Sister, Rong, you are back," Xiao Fan was thinking in his heart, and a clear and pleasant voice came to his ears. "Second sister, Wu, we almost couldn't come back." Then, it was Tushan Rong's voice with a slight cry, but they had already arrived at Tushan Honglong's home, and Tushan Honglong's other sister Tushan Yaya came up happily. Xiao Fan looked towards Tushan Yaya, and saw that her long hair was scattered behind her back, her bangs were a little messy, and she was wearing a strange red and white dress. One side was sleeveless and the other side had long wide sleeves. When Tushan Yaya saw Xiao Fan next to Tushan Honglong and Tushan Rong, a look of vigilance appeared on her face. "Sister, Rong, how did you bring the human back?" Tushan Rong said, "Second sister, this Mr. Xiao is a good man. He saved me and my sister and sent us back to Tushan." Tushan Honglong followed and said, "Rong is right. There are good and bad people among humans. Yaya, don't be rude to Mr. Xiao." Tushan Yaya couldn't help but frowned when she heard Tushan Honglong say the same thing. "Sister, Rong, did you encounter any danger outside? What happened?" Tushan Honglong immediately told Tushan Yaya about their experience in a simple way. After listening to this, Tushan Yaya's eyes were filled with anger. "Damn Taoist priest, damn it." Then, Tushan Yaya turned her eyes and looked at Xiao Fan. "You saved my sister and Rong. You are not thinking of taking the opportunity to sneak into our Tushan?" Xiao Fan smiled faintly. "You think too much. If your two sisters hadn't invited me, I would have left long ago." Tushan Honglong hurriedly said, "Mr. Xiao, my second sister is outspoken. I apologize to you on her behalf." Then, Tushan Honglong said to Tushan Yaya, "Apologize to Mr. Xiao." Tushan Yaya admired her sister Tushan Honglong very much and listened to her very much. Hearing what Tushan Honglong said, she had to apologize to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan didn't care about it. Afterwards, Xiao Fan, accompanied by the three sisters of Tushan, wandered around Tushan for a while, and then said goodbye to them. In Tushan Yaya's stunned eyes, Xiao Fan's figure directly passed through a light gate and disappeared from their sight. "Sister, who is this Mr. Xiao?" Looking at the light gate, Tushan Yaya couldn't help asking Tushan Honglong. Tushan Honglong said, "Mr. Xiao is not from our world." When Tushan Honglong introduced Xiao Fan to Tushan Yaya, Xiao Fan had already returned to the Dqi world. After returning to the Dqi world, Xiao Fan walked out of the room and continued to instruct King Lin in his practice. In a blink of an eye, a day passed. The next day, after Xiao Fan signed into the chat group, he thought about it and sent a message to Yu Buku directly. "Xiao Fan, at Yu Buku, Master Yu, I am going to visit your world. There shouldn't be any inconvenience. right? The Huashan sect in the world of swordsmen. Yu Bukun was sharing the joy of his soaring strength with his wife Ningzong's, and suddenly sensed the prompt of the chat group and quickly immersed his consciousness in the chat group. Seeing Xiao Fan's message, Yu Bukun did not dare to neglect it and responded immediately. Yu Bukun, as Xiao Fan, welcome Lord Thunder Emperor to visit our world. Yan Lingjai, as Xiao Fan, brother Xiao Fan, when will you come to our world again? I haven't seen you for a long time. Looking forward to it. Wan, Lord Thunder Emperor is also welcome to visit our world. Soon, other people also sent invitation messages to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan, I will go when I have time. I will go to Yu Bukun's world first. You guys chat first. After sending the message, Xiao Fan moved his mind slightly, used the shuttle function of the chat group, and went directly to the world of swordsmen. In the world of swordsmen, after replying to the message, Yu Bukun quickly said to Ningzong's, there will be an important person coming to Huashan sect later. You go and warn the disciples below not to offend the distinguished guest. Ningzong said, what distinguished guest? Is it the person in the chat group you mentioned? Yu Bukun nodded and said, yes, there are many powerful people from other worlds in the chat group. Any one of them is enough to sweep the whole world. Ningzong said with some concern, will it not be bad for us? Yu Bukun shook his head and said, don't worry, it won't. Ningzong nodded slightly, stood up and went to instruct the Huashan disciples. Just as Ningzong left, Yu Bukun saw a magical light gate, and a handsome young man stepped out of the light gate. Yu Bukun stepped forward and said, are you Lord Thunder Emperor? Xiao Fan smiled faintly, I am Xiao Fan, you can just call me by my name. Yu Bukun pondered for a moment, and said cautiously, then I should call you young master. Xiao Fan said indifferently, whatever you want. Yu Bukun saw that Xiao Fan seemed quite approachable, and he relaxed a little. He said with a smile, young master, the scenery of Huashan is quite good in our world, I will take you around Huashan. Xiao Fan said, then I'll have to trouble master you. Yu Bukun said quickly, young master, you are too polite. Then, Xiao Fan strolled around Huashan sect casually under the guidance of Yu Bukun. While the two were strolling, Yu Bukun kept introducing everything on Huashan to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan responded in a casual manner, but in his heart he once again issued a sign-in command to the system. Ding! Sign-in successful. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained 10 puppet talismans. Note, it is effective for people whose cultivation is lower than the host's great realm. They need to drip blood to recognize the master first. After using it, the other party can be 100% loyal to the puppet talisman owner, and it will not affect their thoughts and consciousness. Puppet talisman. Interesting. Hearing the content of the system reward, Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows slightly. This puppet talisman has no help in improving his cultivation, but it can be used to expand his power. The Xiao family is still too weak now. If they want to develop, they must wait for him to break through the Daodi realm and let the Xiao family ascend to heaven in one step. Before he breaks through the Daodi, it is not a bad idea to develop some external forces to strengthen the Xiao family. In the original work, didn't Xiao Yan create a Yan? Thoughts flew in his mind, but it did not affect Xiao Fan's appreciation of the scenery of Huashan. After a casual stroll in Huashan, Xiao Fan said goodbye to Yu Bukun and returned to the Qi world again. Next, Xiao Fan stayed in the Modi mercenary group for 10 days. The two brothers Xiao Ding and Xiao Li finally broke through to the Great Daoshi realm one after another. After both brothers had achieved breakthroughs, Xiao Fan was also ready to say goodbye and leave. Third brother, don't be in a hurry to leave. Father sent someone to deliver a letter to you and asked you to go back. Xiao Ding suddenly said to Xiao Fan after Xiao Fan said goodbye to him. Xiao Fan was surprised to hear this. A letter to me? Do you know what it is about? Big brother. Chapter 105. Heading to the snake tribe, Kailin's worries. Xiao Ding shook his head and said, I don't know, I just received the letter and haven't opened it yet. You can read it yourself. Xiao Ding handed the letter to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan took the letter and opened it to read it. After reading the contents of the letter, Xiao Fan couldn't help but frown slightly. The letter didn't say much, but just asked him to go back as soon as possible. Xiao Ding asked curiously, what's wrong? What did father say? Xiao Fan shook his head slightly. The letter just talked about family matters and mentioned you and my second brother. It didn't say anything specific, but just asked me to go back. You can read it yourself. While talking, Xiao Fan handed the letter to Xiao Ding again. Xiao Ding took the letter and read it. It was indeed the same as what Xiao Fan said. He smiled and said, "Then you should go back. If there is anything, you will know when you go back." Xiao Fan shook his head slightly. "I didn't expect my father to be mysterious." "Okay, I'll go back first." Anyway, with Xiao Fan's speed, going back to Yuden City would not take up much time. Third young master, can I go with you? Seeing Xiao Fan was about to leave, King Lin struggled for a while, and finally mustered up the courage to step forward and ask Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan nodded and said, "Then let's go together." "Great, thank you, third young master." King Lin jumped up happily when he heard Xiao Fan agreed. Xiao Fan looked at King Lin's appearance and showed a gentle smile on his face. At this time, Kai Lin on the side bit her lips, looking like she wanted to say something but stopped. Seeing this, Xiao Fan asked, "What's wrong?" Kai Lin bit her lips and said, "I have been away from the clan for too long. If I don't go back, I'm afraid the four elders will take some actions, which will not be good for the human race and the snake race." Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows when he heard this, and he also remembered that the original book did mention that the snake race had 4 Duang-level elders, and the eldest elder was at the peak of the Duang realm. Thinking of the 4 elders, Xiao Fan thought of another thing. In the original book, Kai Lin needed to undergo a baptism after transforming into a human body. During Kai Lin's baptism, the 4 elders used a secret method to detect a faint breath of life in Kai Lin's lower abdomen, so they guessed that Kai Lin was pregnant. In fact, their guess was very correct. Thinking in his heart, Xiao Fan couldn't help but look at Kai Lin's lower abdomen. Kai Lin frowned slightly. "What are you looking at?" Xiao Fan stroked his chin and said slowly, "I'm wondering if you are pregnant now." Swish. Hearing Xiao Fan's words, Kai Lin's face was immediately covered with blushes, and her heart was shocked. She said in a panic, "You don't talk nonsense." Xiao Fan said, "How about this? I will go back to the snake tribe with you first. I remember that after Medusa transforms into a human, she will undergo a baptism. After you complete the baptism, I will return to Yuden City." Xiao Fan did not see any urgency or danger in the letter sent by Xiao Zhan, so he was not worried that there would be any changes if he returned late. Kai Lin frowned and said, "I'm afraid the elders will not let it go if they know about your relationship with me. You'd better not go, right?" Kai Lin had been with Xiao Fan for a while, and she had gotten used to Xiao Fan's knowledge of everything. She was not surprised to hear Xiao Fan mention the baptism. Xiao Fan smiled slightly. "Why don't you just tell them that you and I are in love? If the elders of the snake tribe and I have a conflict, they will be the ones who will suffer. You don't want to see them beaten to death by me, do you?" Kai Lin was immediately furious when she heard what Xiao Fan said. "You bastard." Xiao Fan touched his nose and smiled. "It was just a joke. Don't be angry. Don't worry. For your sake, even if they provoke me, I will at most hurt them. Is that okay?" In the end, Kai Lin agreed to let Xiao Fan go to the snake tribe with her, because it was useless for her to object. Xiao Fan said goodbye to his 2 brothers, left them some cultivation resources, and then took Kai Lin and King Lin to the snake tribe. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, Xiao Fan took Kai Lin and King Lin directly, broke through the space wormhole, and instantly arrived at the temple in the center of the snake people. Although Xiao Fan told Kai Lin that he was at Zun, Kai Lin was still quite shocked when she personally experienced Xiao Fan's space shuttle ability with Zun. "The appearance of this temple is not much different from the last time I came here," Xiao Fan said casually as he looked at the snake people's temple in front of him. At the beginning, Xiao Fan came to this temple from the desert following Kai Lin's traces. Kai Lin was worried that the King Lin Earth Core Fire would be taken away by Xiao Fan, so she turned into a snake body and rushed into the King Lin Earth Core Fire. Then a series of things happened later. Kai Lin rolled her eyes at Xiao Fan. "When you meet the 4 elders later, try to restrain yourself." Xiao Fan nodded slightly. "Don't worry, since I promised you, I won't do anything to them." The 2 were talking, and suddenly a breath of Duang peak level approached them quickly. A moment later, an old woman wearing a long gray gown and with a pair of diamond-shaped pupils appeared in front of the 3. "Queen, are you okay? Where have you been these days?" Seeing Kai Lin, the old woman's face suddenly showed excitement. Kai Lin said, I'm sorry to have worried the elder. When I used the strange fire to evolve, there was a little accident, and then this young master Xiao saved me. In order to avoid misunderstandings, he took me away from here. During this time, I was in the Magic Beast mountain range. Kailin was not lying, but she only said the first part and did not mention what happened later. This old woman was the elder of the snake people. After Kailin's aura suddenly disappeared last time, the four elders looked for Kailin's traces everywhere, while also paying attention to the movement of the temple. After all, Kailin disappeared from the temple. The elder happened to be in the city today, and was close to the temple, so he rushed over as soon as possible. The elder heard this and asked, "Did the queen evolve successfully?" Kailin nodded and said, "Yes, I have evolved successfully, and with the help of Master Xiao, I have awakened the blood of the nine-colored sky-swallowing python." "What, nine-colored sky-swallowing python? Isn't it seven-colored?" The elder was shocked when he heard Kailin's words. Kailin didn't say much, but just released a little bit of the blood of the nine-colored sky-swallowing python. "Good, good, good. My snake people are finally going to rise." Sensing the aura of the nine-colored sky-swallowing python on Kailin, the elder was surprised and exclaimed. After a pause, the great elder turned around and bowed to Xiao Fan, saying solemnly, "Thank you, young Master Xiao, for rescuing our queen and helping her complete her bloodline evolution." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "You're welcome, great elder. I originally came here for the Green Lotus Earth Core Fire, and Queen Medusa and I became acquainted with each other. I helped the queen and got the Green Lotus Earth Core Fire at the same time. It's a win-win situation for everyone. It's just that there was a little accident in the process of helping the queen evolve. The queen is now my woman. I hope the great elder can fulfill my wish." Kailin didn't expect Xiao Fan to explain the matter directly as soon as he came up. Her face changed slightly and she felt a little worried. Chapter 106 The Queen is Pregnant? The elders approve. Hearing this, the elders' diamond-shaped pupils, like venomous snakes, suddenly locked onto Xiao Fan, with a cold light flashing in his eyes. Kailin was worried that the elder would attack in anger, so he quickly stood between Xiao Fan and the elder and said, "Elder, this was a coincidence. Besides, I think Xiao Fan is worthy of me." Kailin was worried that the elder would be hurt by Xiao Fan, but in the eyes of the elder, it was Kailin who was protecting Xiao Fan and preventing him from hurting him. The elder's face darkened slightly, and he looked at Xiao Fan and said coldly, "Your name is Xiao Fan, right? I wonder what qualifications you have to be worthy of our queen?" "Kailin, go aside first, I won't hurt the elder." Xiao Fan smiled faintly, pushed Kailin aside, and then said to the elder, "This young master is now 18 years old, and his cultivation is at the Zun realm. Do you think this young master is qualified?" Boom. As the voice fell, Xiao Fan's powerful aura suddenly released and pressed towards the elder. Ding ding ding. Under the pressure of Xiao Fan's aura, the elder's face turned pale, and his body retreated uncontrollably, and finally fell to the ground with a thump. The other three elders of the snake tribe were searching for Kailin in different directions at this time. When they sensed the terrifying aura of the temple, their faces changed and they rushed to the temple. "You are really only 18 years old?" At this moment in the temple, feeling the terrifying aura of Xiao Fan, the elder was shocked and couldn't help asking. Xiao Fan said lightly, "I don't need to lie to you about this." Hearing this, the elder's face changed for a while, and I don't know what he was thinking. Xiao Fan glanced at her and continued, "I came back with Kailin this time because I heard that the Medusa clan needs to undergo a baptism after they transform into humans. Oh, by the way, Kailin is the name of your queen." The elder thought that it was Kailin who told Xiao Fan about this, so he was not surprised. After a moment of hesitation, the elder said, "Since you and my queen have already accomplished something, are you willing to become the son-in-law of our snake people and stay in the snake people?" Today, the snake people have fallen. After the elder sensed Xiao Fan's powerful strength, he wanted to keep Xiao Fan in the snake people, so that they could have one more strong man, which would be a great thing for the snake people. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Being the son-in-law of the snake people is no problem, but I can't stay in the snake people. My goal is to travel the entire continent, looking for opportunities to improve myself, solve the mystery of the disappearance of the Emperor, and become the new emperor on the Qi continent. Of course, if the snake people are in any danger, I will definitely help them. What a big tone! As soon as Xiao Fan finished speaking, a cold shout came from not far from the temple. When the voice fell, an old woman with a wrinkled face quickly landed in the temple. Then, 2 other old women followed. "Queen, you are back, it's great." Seeing Kai Lin, the 3 of them saluted her at the same time, and exclaimed in surprise. Kai Lin said, "I'm sorry to have made the 3 elders worried." The second elder asked Kai Lin, "Queen, I wonder who this human is?" Without waiting for Kai Lin to speak, the eldest elder on the side recounted the whole story to the 3 elders. "This man is Xiao Fan, and he helped the queen complete the evolution." But, after listening to the eldest elder's story, the expressions of the other 3 elders changed. Kai Lin looked at the changes in the faces of the 4 elders and said in a deep voice, "4 elders, you all know about Xiao Fan's affairs. I hope that both sides can live in harmony and not have conflicts. This is not a good thing for the snake people." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Although Kai Lin is the king of the snake people, he must inherit the bloodline. With the qualifications of this young master, if I give birth to offspring with Kai Lin, the qualifications of the offspring will certainly not be bad. Moreover, I know that Medusa will use precious elixirs as a guide during her pregnancy to ensure the potential of giving birth to a newborn. Leave the elixir to me." If it weren't for Kai Lin's face, Xiao Fan would naturally not be so polite to the 4 elders. Kai Lin naturally understood this, and when he heard Xiao Fan take the initiative to take charge of the elixir, his heart softened a little. The elder pondered for a while, and then said, "Let's baptize the queen first, and then talk about this matter after the baptism is completed." The elder felt that what Xiao Fan said made sense. More importantly, Xiao Fan was stronger than them. Even if the 4 of them joined forces, they could not do anything to Xiao Fan. In addition, the great elder was going to use a secret method to test whether Kai Lin had conceived a new life when she was baptized. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. "Okay, then you can complete the baptism for Kai Lin first." "How long will the baptism take?" 3 days, the great elder responded. Xiao Fan said, "Okay, then King Lin and I will stay in the snake tribe until the baptism is over." For the next 3 days, Xiao Fan took King Lin and stayed in the snake tribe temporarily. With the instructions of the queen and the 4 elders, the other snake tribes did not dare to act rashly towards Xiao Fan and King Lin. 3 days passed in a flash. The baptism ceremony of the Medusa clan was also successfully concluded. Kai Lin, with a complicated look on her face, found Xiao Fan again with the 4 elders. "How is it? Nothing unexpected happened?" Seeing Kai Lin coming back, Xiao Fan stepped forward and asked. The elder smiled and said, "Don't worry, everything is going well." Xiao Fan said, "Then did you use the secret method to detect whether Kai Lin is pregnant?" Kai Lin's expression froze slightly, and she subconsciously reached out and gently touched her lower abdomen, with mixed feelings in her heart. The elder said, "We used the secret method to detect that there was indeed a faint and almost imperceptible breath of life in the queen's body." Xiao Fan couldn't help but feel happy. It seems that she is pregnant. If Kai Lin is pregnant, their relationship will be much closer, and if nothing unexpected happens, Kai Lin will give birth to a daughter in a few years. No matter from which aspect, it is worth Xiao Fan's joy. The elder nodded slightly. "Although we are not 100% sure, we cannot be negligent in the slightest. Once it is confirmed that the queen is pregnant, then our snake people will have another heir with the blood of Medusa, which is a great event for the tribe." After a pause, the elder said, "Medusa's blood is extremely strong, so when the baby is still in the mother's body, it needs countless elixirs to nourish it. In this way, when the baby is born in the future, its strength will become stronger and its potential will be extremely terrifying." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "I feel that Kai Lin must be pregnant." "Elder, just tell me what elixir you need, and I will get it as soon as possible, so as not to delay my daughter's future." Looking at Xiao Fan's performance, the 4 elders recognized him in their hearts. Kai Lin looked at Xiao Fan with a touch of tenderness that she had never had before, but it soon disappeared. She reached out and stroked her lower abdomen, and her emotions were difficult to describe. Chapter 107, Parenting Secrets, A Mistake. The great elder said slowly, "According to the secret method of the clan, The nourishment of Medusa babies is divided into 3 levels: upper, middle and lower. Babies nourished with lower-level secret methods will stop at the Huang level if they do not have a great opportunity in the future. If they are nourished with medium-level secret methods, their potential will be enough to allow them to reach the Duzong level, and the upper-level secret method is even stronger. Xiao Fan said casually, "Just tell me what conditions are required for the upper-level secret method." "My daughter will naturally use the best." When Kailin heard what Xiao Fan said, her face flushed slightly, and her heart softened a little. The great elder was all smiles. The top-grade secret method requires a medicine called the Heavenly Soul Melting Blood Pill. This medicine is of the 7th grade and can maximize the potential of the Medusa baby. Its future achievements will be terrifying. However, this medicine is extremely difficult to refine, and it will also cause a pill disaster. It is also common for the pill to be destroyed and the person to die. Over the years, my snake people have never produced any Medusa bloodline nourished by the top-grade secret method. Xiao Fan smiled faintly. There will be one in the future. Since there is a top-grade secret method, my daughter will naturally be cultivated with the top-grade secret method. It is normal for the Medusa clan to take 3 to 5 years to get pregnant. How about this? I will send the Heavenly Soul Melting Blood Pill within a year. Upon hearing this, the great elder's face suddenly blossomed with a smile. With Mr. Zhao's guarantee, the old woman will be relieved. If this is true, my snake people may have a super strong man in the future. Xiao Fan said, "Of course I won't joke about such an important matter, but before that, I have to ask the elder to give me the recipe of the Heavenly Soul Melting Blood Pill so that I can find a 7th grade alchemist to make the pill." "Of course, no problem." The elder nodded slightly, and handed the recipe of the Heavenly Soul Melting Blood Pill to Xiao Fan without hesitation. After the discussion, the 4 elders left. Xiao Fan glanced at Kailin next to him, and saw that although she looked straight ahead at the moment, her cheeks were uncontrollably flushed. After a slight hesitation, Xiao Fan said, "Next, do you plan to stay in the snake tribe, or leave with me?" Now that Kailin's heart has basically been determined, Xiao Fan is ready to give her more autonomy. Kailin thought for a while and said, "I'd better stay in the snake tribe. On the one hand, I need to deal with the affairs of the snake tribe, and on the other hand..." Kailin only said half of her words, but Xiao Fan saw her touching her belly and understood what was going on. Kailin wanted to run around less and take better care of the fetus. Xiao Fan said, "Okay, then I'll stay with you in the snake tribe for a few days, and then I'll leave." Next, Xiao Fan stayed with Kailin in the snake tribe for 7 days, and then took King Lin with him, broke through the space wormhole, and returned to the Xiao family. Yuten City. Xiao family. Ice Emperor Haibodong was practicing in the training room prepared for him by the Xiao family, wanting to recover to his full body condition as soon as possible. Suddenly, Haibodong discovered that a dark space wormhole appeared above the Xiao family, and his face suddenly changed. Haibodong didn't have time to think about it, and rushed to Xiaozan's location quickly, picked up Xiaozan and ran away madly. As for the other people in the Xiao family, Haibodong could no longer take care of them. "Hai Lao, what's wrong?" Xiaozan was carried by Haibodong and went madly outside Yuten City. He couldn't help but ask Haibodong with a confused look on his face. Haibodong said in a deep voice, "There is a super strong man coming to the Xiao family." Xiaozan's face became serious when he heard this. Super strong man? Zhang? After Xiao Fan rescued King Lin from the Mo family, he asked Haibodong to come to the Xiao family to offer sacrifices. He also wrote a letter to Xiaozan, introducing Haibodong's situation. Xiaozan knew that Haibodong was a Huang strong man. Now even Haibodong said that he was a super strong man. Xiaozan subconsciously thought that he was such a terrifying Zhang. As for higher levels, Xiaozan didn't dare to think too much. Haibodong said, "Stronger than Zhang, okay, don't talk anymore. I hope that the strong man is just passing by, not coming for the Xiao family." In the back mountain of the Xiao family, Xiao Fan walked out of the space wormhole with King Lin, and then his mind moved slightly and closed the space wormhole. Xiao Fan released his soul-sensing power and prepared to find his father Xiaozan, but he was a little surprised to find that Haibodong was carrying his father Xiaozan madly to the outside of Yuten City. "What's going on?" Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows slightly, and then walked in the air with King Lin, and soon caught up with Zhan and Hai Bodong. "Dad, Ice Emperor, where are you going?" "Fanner, young master." Seeing Xiao Fan walking in the air and following them, Zhan and Hai Bodong exclaimed at the same time. Hai Bodong and Zhan initially thought that a powerful enemy was chasing them, and they felt desperate. They didn't expect that the person would be Xiao Fan. Zhan had heard from Hai Bodong that Xiao Fan had broken through to the Zong realm, but he was still very shocked to see Xiao Fan walking in the air. After all, Xiao Fan was only 18 years old, and he was actually a Zong. This was too exaggerated. Hai Bodong asked with some doubt, "Young master, I saw a space wormhole at Zhao's house just now. Could the person in that space wormhole be you?" When Xiao Fan heard what Hai Bodong said, he immediately understood what was going on. It turned out to be a misunderstanding. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Do you think that a powerful enemy is coming, so you are going to take my father away?" "Yes, the Ice Emperor is indeed a trustworthy person. Let's go. Let's go back and talk." Immediately, the group returned to the Xiao family. In the study of the Xiao family head, Zhan, Hai Bodong, Xiao Fan and King Lin sat opposite each other. Zhan said in disbelief, "Fanner, have you really broken through to the Zong realm?" Xiao Fan nodded and said, "Yes, I encountered some opportunities outside, so I improved a little faster." Hai Bodong said, "What's the matter with the space wormhole just now?" Xiao Fan said casually, "I came back from the Tiger Desert. In order to save time, I opened a space wormhole to travel." "Hiss, you broke through to the Zun realm?" Hai Bodong couldn't help but take a breath of cold air when he heard Xiao Fan's words. He was shocked beyond words. He was already very shocked when he saw Xiao Fan, an 18-year-old Zong last time. Now it has only been a short time, and Xiao Fan has broken through to the Zun again. It's too scary. Zhan was also shocked, and he kept repeating in his mouth, "Zun, Zun." Faced with this sudden surprise, Zhan was a little too surprised. After a pause, Zhan suddenly thought of something, and said with some doubt, "Are you not possessed by some old monster?" Xiao Fan rolled his eyes unhappily. "Dad, are you not familiar with me? Where did the old monster come from to possess you? You think too much." Hai Bodong also smiled and said, "Patriarch is overthinking. There is nothing wrong with young master." Zhan nodded and said, "That's good. It's really the blessing of our ancestors that my Xiao family finally has hope of rising." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "It's still early for the Xiao family to rise. Let's talk first." "Dad, you are in a hurry to call me back. Is there something important?" Chapter 182 Things, Family Treasures. "Ahem, you and your son have something to discuss, so I'll take my leave first." Hearing Xiao Fan asking about this topic, Hai Bodong suddenly coughed. Zhan said, "Mr. Hai, please go ahead." Hai Bodong nodded to Xiao Fan again, and then went out. Seeing this, King Lin blinked his eyes. "Patriarch, third young master, I'll take my leave first." After saying that, King Lin also ran out quickly. After Hai Bodong and King Lin left, Zhan said, "I came back to find you for two things." Xiao Fan said, "Dad, when did you become so fussy? Just say it directly, stinky boy. How can you talk to me like that?" Zhan scolded with a smile, and then his expression became more serious. "The first thing is that Hai Lao wanted the Xiao family to get engaged to the Maitel family. In order to avoid the kind of thing that happened to Yanzi, I did not agree directly. Hai Lao suggested that you meet the girl from the Maitel family first and then decide whether to get engaged." "Engage me?" Xiao Fan was speechless when he heard this. "Your son is so outstanding. Am I afraid that I can't find a wife?" Zhan said, "Hai Lao is one of the top 10 strongest men in the Gamma Empire. He mentioned it to me several times, and I can't deny him any face. Moreover, the Maitel family is one of the 3 major families in the Gamma Empire. If you can marry a woman from the Maitel family, the 2 families will become relatives, and the Xiao family will be able to develop better." Xiao Fan said casually, "This old guy has set his sights on coming here. No wonder he was in a hurry to leave just now. Well, let's meet. If I am not satisfied, you can't force him, old man." Zhan nodded slightly. "Of course not." In addition, Hai Lao said that he doesn't need the position of the main wife, as long as you are willing to marry her. "Okay, wait for me to meet that woman." Xiao Fan nodded and agreed, and then said, "Dad, What is the other thing you mentioned? Zhan took a deep breath, his expression very solemn. This matter is the biggest secret of the Xiao family. After I tell you, you can't reveal it to anyone, not even your two brothers and Xiao Fan said, understood. Zhan took out a piece of ancient jade and said solemnly, this ancient jade will be handed over to you for safekeeping from now on. You must keep it carefully and don't let others know. Xiao Fan took the ancient jade casually, knowing in his heart that this must be the Chuash ancient emperor jade of the Xiao family. But he asked, what is this? Zhan said seriously, most people in the Xiao family only know that this ancient jade is a token of the patriarch, which can store a wisp of the patriarch's soul. In fact, there is a great secret hidden in this jade, which is related to breaking through the realm above Sheng. Now, you are the person with the highest cultivation in the Xiao family. This ancient jade may be able to help your cultivation, allowing you to reach the realm of Sheng and restore the glory of my Xiao family ancestors. According to your grandfather, our Xiao family ancestors also had a super strong man at the level of Sheng. Xiao Fan said solemnly, don't worry, Dad, I will definitely lead the Xiao family to regain its glory. Okay. Zhan was also very happy looking at the confident Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan is only 18 years old now, and he is already a Zhen strongman. As long as nothing unexpected happens, it may be possible to break through to Qing in the future. It seems that the glory of their family will be restored in the near future. The father and son chatted for a few more words, and Xiao Fan gave Zhan some cultivation resources again, and then left the study. King Lin was waiting outside the study not far away. When he saw Xiao Fan coming out, he hurriedly went up to him. Third young master, have you settled the matter? Yes. Xiao Fan nodded slightly, rubbed King Lin's head, and said with a smile, before in Shimo City, you were my guide to go shopping. This time, it's my turn to take you around our Yuten city. Hee. Okay. King Lin squinted his eyes in enjoyment and said happily. Immediately, Xiao Fan took King Lin out of the Xiao mansion and strolled around Yuten city. Today, Yuten city no longer has the situation of three families competing for supremacy. The Xiao family is the only one that dominates the entire Yuten city. Compared with the period when the three families competed for supremacy, the public security environment in Yuten city is much better. When Xiao Fan was shopping with King Lin, Hai Bodong went back and found Xiao Zhan again. Chief, what did Master Xiao Fan say? Is he not angry? After Hai Bodong learned that Xiao Fan was an 18-year-old Zong master, he had the intention to invest in him. Now that he saw that Xiao Fan had broken through again in a short period of time and reached the terrifying Zun realm, he was even more concerned about this marriage. However, Hai Bodong was also a little worried that Xiao Fan would dislike him because of this matter. Zhan looked at Hai Bodong's worried look and felt a little funny in his heart, and at the same time, he felt a strong sense of pride. In the past, how could a Huang master be so humble in front of a patriarch of a small family like him? All this is because he has a good son like Xiao Fan. Thinking in his heart, Zhan smiled and said, don't worry, Hai Lao. Fanner has agreed to meet the woman of the Mitel family. However, after the meeting, whether this marriage can be decided depends on the fate of the two people. This brat is now grown up, and my words as a father are not counted. Hearing this, Hai Bodong hurriedly said, it's good that Master Xiao Fan is willing to agree to meet. Patriarch, please see when it is appropriate for them to meet. I will notify the Mitel family to make preparations. Zhan pondered for a moment and said, if it is convenient, then tomorrow. I don't think Fanner will stay in Yuten city for too long. Hai Bodong smiled and said, any time is convenient. The people of the Mitel family are now at the auction house. I will go and tell them now. Okay. Zhan heard this and nodded and agreed. Hai Bodong immediately left the Xiao family and went to the Mitel auction house. In the Mitel auction house, Mitel Tengshan, the great elder of the Mitel family, came here in person. Mitel Tengshan had also sensed the terrifying fluctuations in the Xiao family before, and his expression was very solemn, but he did not rashly go to the Xiao family to inquire. Grand Elder, Hai Lao is here, and he specifically wants to see you. Mitel Tengshan was a little absent-minded, and suddenly a servant came forward to report. Mitel Tengshan immediately calmed down after hearing this, and said lightly, I know, you can go down. Yes, Grand Elder, the servant agreed respectfully, and then retreated. After the servant left, Maitel Tengshan also hurried to the reception room of Maitel Auction. "Hai Lao, you are here." Seeing Hai Bodong, Maitel Tengshan took the initiative to greet him. Hai Bodong chuckled. "Tengshan, don't be so reserved. I'm here to tell you good news." Maitel Tengshan's eyes flickered when he heard that. Old Hai means that the Xiao family agreed to the marriage? Hai Bodong shook his head slightly. Patriarch was very interested, but Xiao Fan said he would make a decision after seeing the person. "Don't think this is a shameful thing. Do you know where the terrifying aura that appeared in the Xiao family before came from?" Maitel Tengshan was shocked and said, "Could it be the third young master Xiao Fan of the Xiao family?" Hai Bodong nodded and said, "Yes. Xiao Fan's current strength has reached the terrifying Zun realm. As long as there is a woman in the family who can be favored by him and get married, I don't need to say more about the future of the Maitel family, right?" Maitel Tengshan hurriedly said when he heard that. Old Hai still has a unique vision. Hai Bodong chuckled. Patriarch said that he would arrange for young Master Xiao Fan to meet with the woman of the Maitel family tomorrow, so you should also prepare on your side. Maitel Tengshan said, "According to your instructions, the family has specially selected 3 women of appropriate age. I wonder which one should meet Xiao Fan first." If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109 Master Xiao Fan, please help me. Hai Bodong smiled. Let them meet Xiao Fan at the same time, as long as Xiao Fan is willing. Even if 3 of them marry him at the same time, it's not a bad idea. Maitel Tengshan heard this and said, "I'll arrange it now and let them behave well tomorrow." "Well," Hai Bodong agreed, and then said, "I'll go back to the Xiao family first." Maitel Tengshan also knew that Hai Bodong was now the Xiao family's worshipper. He was not surprised to hear Hai Bodong's words and personally sent him to the door of the Maitel auction house. Hai Bodong returned to the Xiao family with full expectations. Time passed quickly, and in a blink of an eye it was the next day. Yesterday, after Xiao Fan went shopping and returned home, Xiao Zhan told him about meeting the women of the Maitel family. Xiao Fan agreed to meet at the Maitel auction house. Accompanied by Hai Bodong, Xiao Fan went directly to the reception room of the Maitel auction house. "What's going on?" Xiao Fan entered the reception room and raised his eyebrows slightly. In the reception room, there were 3 beautiful women with their own characteristics. When they saw him coming, all 3 stood up and came to greet him. Among the 3 beauties, Xiao Fan recognized one of them. It was Ye Fai, the person in charge of Maitel auction house in Yun City. "Old Hai, what are you doing?" Xiao Fan and the 3 responded, and then pulled Hai Bodong to one side and whispered. Even if it was a blind date, it didn't mean to meet 3 girls at once, right? Ahem. Hai Bodong coughed lightly and lowered his voice. The head of the Maitel family didn't know your preferences, so he directly selected 3 outstanding women from the family and let you choose. Of course, if you want, you can marry all 3 of them. In the reception room, Ye Fai and the other 2 girls from the Maitel family looked at Hai Bodong in front of Xiao Fan, with a humble look, and they were shocked. After they were selected by Maitel Tengshan, they also learned about Hai Bodong's identity and deeds from Maitel Tengshan. However, they didn't say much about Xiao Fan, just that Xiao Fan was a genius who would never be born, and they would never regret marrying him. Especially Ye Fai. She knew Xiao Fan and knew that Xiao Fan's talent was not bad, but how could she let Hai Bodong make such a gesture? Xiao Fan naturally didn't know what Ye Fai and the other 2 were thinking. Hearing Hai Bodong's words, he couldn't help but roll his eyes. Does he want any woman? After a little hesitation, Xiao Fan said, "Then let's go with Ye Fai. I am familiar with her." Hai Bodong winked and said, "Aren't you going to marry the other 2 too?" Xiao Fan was too lazy to pay attention to Hai Bodong, the old man, and walked directly into the reception room, holding Ye Fai's hand, and said lightly, "Let's go out for a walk." Ye Fai looked at Hai Bodong for help. Seeing Hai Bodong nodded, she also followed Xiao Fan obediently and walked out of the reception room. "Hai Lao, what should we do?" The remaining 2 women looked at each other in bewilderment, and then asked Hai Bodong. Hai Bodong shook his head slightly. It seems that you don't have this blessing. Let my Tangshan take you back to the imperial capital. After saying that, regardless of the two women's aggrieved expressions, Hai Bodong also flashed out of the auction house. Hai Bodong did not disturb Xiao Fan and Yif in an unkind way, but returned to the Zhao family, ready to find Xiao Zhan to encourage Xiao Fan again. On the other side, Xiao Fan took Yif and went directly out of Maitil auction house and strolled on the streets of Wun City. As they walked, Xiao Fan asked casually, "Do you know why the Mitre family arranged for you to meet me?" Yif blushed slightly, bit her red lips and said, "I know. I didn't expect that after not seeing you for a few months. Master Xiao Fan actually gave me a big surprise. Even Hai Lao had to lower his posture in front of you." Xiao Fan smiled faintly. "Let's not talk about other things. What do you think of this marriage?" Yif stared at Xiao Fan with her big watery eyes, and said softly, "It is Yif's honor to marry Master Xiao Fan. Of course, Yif is very willing, but I'm afraid that Master Xiao Fan will look down on me." Yif understood that she, who was born in the Mitre family, could not escape the fate of marriage unless she was strong enough to suppress the entire family. Yif was a very smart person. Even Hai Bodong was so humble in front of Xiao Fan. Marrying Xiao Fan might be a good thing for her. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "You're overthinking. I'm naturally attracted to a woman as attractive as Miss Yefei. However, I may have to let Miss Yefei down a little." Yefei's mind flashed, and she quickly understood what Xiao Fan meant. Hai Bodong and Maitel Tangshan had also said this in advance. Yefei said in a delicate voice, "Yefei doesn't feel wronged." Xiao Fan smiled and said nothing more. He took Yefei for a casual stroll and gave her some cultivation resources when they parted. When they returned home, Xiao Fan told Xiao Zhan that he could agree to the engagement with the Maitel family, and the engagement object was Maitel Yefei. When Hai Bodong got the news from Xiao Zhan, he was very happy and immediately went to Maitel Tangshan to share the good news happily. After another day, the engagement was officially settled. Soon, Yefei's status in the Maitel family also soared, becoming the third person besides Maitel Tangshan and Hai Bodong. Feeling this change, Yefei was even more shocked. 6 or 7 days after Xiao Fan and Yif got engaged, Yif heard that Xiao Fan was about to leave Wun City. She hesitated for a while, and then invited Xiao Fan. Maitel auction house. In the reception room, Yif was wearing a low-necked cheongsam, with her right elbow resting on the table, her slender hand on her chin, and her eyes slightly wandering. Yif's right foot was placed on her left leg, and a piece of seductive snow white was revealed under the long cheongsam. There was also a large piece of white at the neckline of her cheongsam, and a deep ravine was hidden under the neckline, which was very eye-catching. When Xiao Fan entered the reception room, he saw such a beautiful scene. "Master Xiao Fan, you are here." When Yif saw Xiao Fan coming, she immediately came back to her senses and stood up from the chair. The snow-white beauty was hidden, which made Xiao Fan feel a pity in his heart. However, as Yif walked towards him step by step, her swaying posture and shaking had a different kind of beauty. Xiao Fan smiled and nodded. "I heard that you were looking for me, Yefei, so I came here immediately." Yefei laughed softly and said in a voice that softened her bones, "Really? Could it be that Master Xiao Fan was trying to make me happy? But even if it's fake, Yefei is very happy." "Well, you've said all the words, and I don't know how to reply." Xiao Fan shrugged and found a seat to sit down. Yefei covered her mouth and chuckled. "Master Xiao Fan, don't be upset. I was just joking. I'll pour you a cup of tea as an apology." As she spoke, Yefei moved her lotus step slightly, her body moved gracefully, and she went to make a pot of hot tea, then took the teacup and placed it on the table in front of Xiao Fan, and bent down to make tea for Xiao Fan. As Yefei bent down to make tea, her collar slid down a little, and suddenly, Xiao Fan's eyes were once again filled with the beautiful white scenery and the deep ravines. Yif noticed Xiao Fan's gaze and her face flushed slightly, but she did not stand up or cover her eyes, and continued to slowly make tea for Xiao Fan. After making tea, Yif was about to put the teapot aside, but her foot accidentally hit the table leg, and her body staggered and fell to one side. With a bang, the teapot fell on the table, and a lot of water stains splashed on Yif's cheongsam in front of her chest. Xiao Fan saw that Yif seemed to fall, and quickly stood up to support her arm. Are you okay? Yif separated from Xiao Fan in a panic, and shook her head and said, It's okay, just some hot water splashed on me. As she spoke, Yif leaned down slightly, took out a silk scarf, and wiped the water stains on her front. In order to make it easier to wipe, Yif reached out and pulled the collar, and more beautiful scenery came into Xiao Fan's sight. Master Xiao Fan, what are you looking at? After a while, Yif suddenly seemed to notice Xiao Fan's sight, and said coquettishly, I'll go to the back hall to change clothes first. After that, Yif twisted her feet and hurried to the back hall of the reception room. Xiao Fan touched his nose awkwardly and waited in the reception room bored. Ouch! Suddenly, a cry of pain came from the back hall of the reception room, followed by Yif's voice, Master Xiao Fan, come in and help me. Chapter 110, Battle with Yif. Heading to Yunlin sect. Xiao Fan heard the sound and entered the back hall. He saw that most of Yif's cheongsam had been taken off, and most of Yif's body was exposed to Xiao Fan's sight. At this time, the hem of Yif's cheongsam was stepped on, and the whole person was sitting on the ground in a somewhat embarrassed manner. Xiao Fan looked at the beautiful scenery in front of him and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly. What's wrong? Yif blushed and said, I accidentally fell down, and my legs are numb. Please help me up, Master Xiao Fan. Okay. Xiao Fan agreed, stepped forward and supported Yif's shoulders, and helped her up from the ground. Yif just stood up, but her body staggered and leaned into Xiao Fan's arms. The hand holding half of the collar also subconsciously loosened and grabbed Xiao Fan's shoulder. Suddenly, the cheongsam suddenly slipped off, and every inch of Yif's skin was exposed to Xiao Fan's sight. Master Xiao Fan, Yif leaned on Xiao Fan's shoulder. Her breath was like orchid, and her voice was numb. Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows slightly. Isn't this a sincere test? After a moment of silence, it was unknown who started the fight. Xiao Fan and Yif leaned back in their chairs together and said with a smile, Are you deliberately provoking me today? Yif blushed. I'm just afraid that you, young Master Xiao Fan, will forget me after leaving Newton City. Xiao Fan stretched out his hand and patted Yif on the body, smiling faintly. Don't worry, I won't forget you. The goblin. Young Master Xiao Fan, you are bad, calling me a goblin, Yif said coquettishly when she heard it, and then asked tentatively, Young Master Xiao Fan, I have a question for you. Why is Hai Lao so respectful to you? Xiao Fan said casually, Because I am strong enough. In the Qi continent, the strong are respected. If you want to win the respect of others, you must first strengthen yourself. Yif said, Has your strength surpassed Hai Lao? Xiao Fan nodded and said, You guessed right. The current Hai Bodong can't even take one of my moves. Hiss, young Master Xiao Fan, you are too strong. Upon hearing this, Yif couldn't help but take a breath. Xiao Fan teased, Don't you know whether I'm strong or not? Yif was confused at first, but soon reacted and blushed. The two of them were affectionate for a while, and Xiao Fan gave Yif a batch of cultivation resources, and then said goodbye and left. The next day after parting with Yif, Xiao Fan also said goodbye to his father Zhan and others, and left Wutan City again with King Lin. Master, where are we going now? After leaving Wutan City, King Lin asked Xiao Fan with some curiosity. Xiao Fan pondered for a moment, and then said, Let's go to Yunlan sect first, and then leave the Jiama Empire and go to the Black Horn region. Xiao Fan was going to Yunlan sect, but he was going to solve the two hidden dangers of Yunshan and Yunling. In the original book, Yunling directly attacked and killed the Xiao family, and the Xiao family almost perished because of this. Although Yunshan did not directly attack the Xiao family, it was also a big threat. King Lin nodded slightly. Yes, wherever the young master goes, I will go. Xiao Fan smiled and rubbed King Lin's little head, and said nothing more. This time, Xiao Fan took King Lin and still chose to break through the space wormhole and travel through space. After all, this is the fastest and most convenient way to travel. Not long after, Xiao Fan and King Lin appeared at the foot of Yunlin Mountain. Xiao Fan pondered for a moment and said to King Lin, You hide in one of my treasures first. I plan to sneak into the depths of Yunlin sect. Okay. King Lin heard it and bit his finger. He felt a little disappointed and a little self-blame. He was still too weak and would only drag down the young master. Xiao Fan rubbed King Lin's head and said with a smile, Don't think too much. With your talent, your strength will soon be improved, and you can also control magic beasts. After the matter of Yunlin sect is finished, I will take you to the Magic Beast Mountain range to catch a few magic beasts for you to control." "Yes." King Lin heard it and nodded immediately. Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and he directly put King Lin into the Yuanqi Tower. Then he concealed his breath and went deep into the Yunlin sect. With Xiao Fan's powerful strength at the level of 3-star Zun, even if he didn't use the hidden breath technique, the people of the Yunlin sect would never find him. A quarter of an hour later, Xiao Fan came to the back mountain of the Yunlin sect, and then directly released a powerful soul-sensing power to search for Yunshan's traces. At the same time, deep in the back mountain of the Yunlin sect, in a simple cave, an old man with gray hair and a faint smell of decay on his body was frowning. This old man was naturally Yunshan, the previous leader of the Yunlin sect. Yunshan has stayed at the peak of Duang for many years, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not break through from the peak of Duang to the Duzong realm. Seeing that his deadline was coming soon, if he didn't break through to the Duzong realm, he might turn into a piece of yellow earth soon. Yunshan was very unwilling in his heart. He didn't want to die in such a cowardly way. Yunshan, don't hesitate any longer, join us. As long as you join us, I can help you break through the Dzong realm easily. But if you reject my kindness, you will end up dead. Not far from Yunshan, a strange black fog floated in the cave, and a strange laugh came from the black fog. Yunshan's face changed, and he said in a deep voice, "There is no free lunch in the world. You are willing to help me break through the Dzong realm, but I am afraid the price I need to pay will not be small, right?" Don't worry, you don't need to pay anything, as long as your Yunlin sect helps us find something. Hearing Yunshan's words, a sinister laugh came out again from the strange black fog. Yunshan said in a deep voice, "What faction are you from? What do you want to find?" The strange black fog twisted and laughed strangely again. The faction we belong to is called Soul Palace. I am one of the Soul Palace's guardians. You can call me Guardian Wu. As for what you are looking for, it's just a piece of jade. For some reasons, we can't take action directly, so we will ask you to cooperate. The reason why Soul Palace didn't dare to attack the Xiao family blatantly was because of the ancient clan behind Xuner. Of course, these guardians Wu would naturally not tell Yunshan. Yunshan was a little suspicious and said, "I'm afraid that jade is not simple." Guardian Wu said coldly, "Knowing too much is not good for you. Tell me your choice. Will you cooperate with me, or prepare to fall in disgrace?" TSK, a thing that hides like a mouse stares to come out and act arrogantly. At this time, a mocking voice sounded in the cave. When the voice fell, a handsome boy in a green shirt appeared silently in the sight of Yunshan and Guardian Wu. There was no doubt that the person who came was Xiao Fan. Yunshan and Wu the Guardian saw Xiao Fan coming. Their faces suddenly changed. "Who are you? What is your purpose in sneaking into Yunlin sect?" Yunshan looked at Xiao Fan warily and questioned him. Chapter 111, The Soul-Destroying Palace's Guardian, Yun asks for a meeting. Yunshan has not yet reached a deal with the Soul Palace, nor has he used the evil means to break through the Dzong. He still has a lot of humanity and attaches great importance to the Yunlin sect. Xiao Fan, such a strong man, appeared in the Yunlin sect silently. What Yunshan is worried about, in addition to himself, is the safety of the Yunlin sect. The black fog formed by the Guardian Wu also twisted and blocked the exit of the cave directly, as if preparing to keep Xiao Fan. Kid, no matter who you are, since you have heard the secret of my Soul Palace, there is only one way to die today. Xiao Fan has two plans for dealing with Yunshan in his mind. One is naturally to kill him, and the other is to use the puppet talisman to take him as a puppet. Seeing that Yunshan has not joined the Soul Palace yet, Xiao Fan thought about it and decided to take him as a puppet. A Dzong is still helpful to the Xiao family today. Moreover, it can also allow the Yunlin sect to fully support the growth of the Xiao family, which can be regarded as a waste utilization. Xiao Fan planned to make all the forces in the northwest continent become affiliated with the Xiao family, starting with the Yunlin sect. Thinking in his heart, Xiao Fan said to Yunshan, "I am here to find this bug from the Soul Palace. You just wait on the side." Yunshan heard this, his face changed for a while, and finally said, since it is a matter between you two, then I will not interfere." After that, Yun Shan stepped back a little, as if to express his intention. Yun Shan sensed a great threat from Xiao Fan, and the Wu protector of the Soul Palace also gave him a very dangerous feeling. Therefore, Yun Shan decided to sit on the mountain and watch the tiger fight first. It would be best if they both lost. Xiao Fan didn't care about Yun Shan's thoughts. He looked at the black fog on one side and said lightly, pretending to be a ghost, "Is this fun?" After the voice fell, Xiao Fan waved his hand casually, and an invisible air wave rushed towards the black fog. The next moment, the black fog suddenly shrank rapidly and condensed into a figure covered in a black robe. The Wu protector's disguise was broken by Xiao Fan, and his face suddenly changed. A pair of slightly red eyes stared at Xiao Fan, and said in a gloomy tone, "Boy, you are looking for death." After the voice fell, Wu protector moved his palm, and a black chain extended from his palm with a clattering sound. Finally, it shook gently, like a venomous snake, and suddenly pierced through the space, turning into a black line, and shot towards Xiao Fan's chest. The tip of the chain was extremely sharp, and the tip was covered with mysterious runes. Circles of spiral patterns were wrapped around the tip of the chain. Under the energy of Wu protector, there was a hint of evil spirit. Xiao Fan frowned slightly. Disgusting insect. The means of attack are so disgusting. After the voice fell, Xiao Fan slapped out with a palm, and a giant thunder palm suddenly condensed in the cave, and slapped down towards Wu protector. Bang! With a loud bang, the guardian Wu was completely beaten into a pulp by Xiao Fan's palm. Xiao Fan stretched out his hand and a ring flew out from the pulp and hovered in front of him. Xiao Fan moved his fingers slightly, releasing a weak lightning force, clearing the blood stains on the outside of the ring, and then accepted it. Yun Shan, who was standing aside, saw this scene, and his pupils shrank immediately, and he was shocked. This was not the first time that Yun Shan and the Guardian Wu had come into contact, and he also knew that the Guardian Wu was a Zhong-level strongman. However, such a Zhong strongman who made him unable to compete was beaten into a pulp by the young man in front of him. How powerful must this young man be? At the same time, Yun Shan was a little worried in his heart whether this mysterious and powerful young man would attack him. Yun Shan's mind was churning, and he said carefully, "Young master, don't worry, I will never tell anyone about what happened today." Xiao Fan smiled faintly, "You are quite sensible." As he spoke, Xiao Fan flashed and suddenly came in front of Yun Shan, slapping Yun Shan with his palm. "Young master, you..." Yun Shan's face changed drastically, and he spoke in panic. At the same time, he quickly mobilized his whole body of qi and tried to make a dying struggle. However, his struggle was in vain. Xiao Fan's palm soon landed on his shoulder. However, what made Yun Shan a little puzzled was that after being hit by Xiao Fan's palm, he did not feel any discomfort, and he was not even injured at all. Xiao Fan certainly did not do useless work. He had just imprinted the puppet talisman into Yun Shan's body. As soon as the puppet talisman entered the body, it merged with Yun Shan and there was no trace of it. Even a 9-starred Sheng strongman could not detect the existence of the puppet talisman. This is the terrifying thing about the puppet talisman rewarded by the system. Yun Shan greets the master. After the puppet talisman entered his body, Yun Shan was slightly dazed, but soon returned to normal. He bowed to Xiao Fan and spoke respectfully. Xiao Fan said lightly, "In front of outsiders, call me Master Xiao, and call me Master in private. I don't like the title of Master. If a beautiful woman called me Master, it would be quite good." But Xiao Fan always felt uncomfortable when Yun Shan, such an old man, called him Master. "Yes, Master." Yun Shan immediately responded respectfully after hearing this. Xiao Fan pondered for a moment and continued, "You don't have to retreat anymore. Come out of retreat to teach Yun Yun the experience of managing the sect, so that she can become the real master of Yunlin sect. In addition, Yunlin sect should support the Xiao family in Yun City. Various resources such as elixirs and skills should be sent to the Xiao family every once in a while. I obey your command." Yun Shan did not hesitate to Xiao Fan's instructions. Xiao Fan nodded slightly and said leisurely, "As long as you get things done, I will find you a breaking sect pill and help you break through the Zhong realm." Although Yun Shan was influenced by the puppet talisman and was completely loyal to Xiao Fan, His own thoughts were not wiped out. In Yunshan's heart, breaking through the Zong realm is still his obsession. After getting Xiao Fan's promise, Yunshan was immediately very excited and his face was full of joy. "Thank you, sir. I will definitely do everything you asked me to do." Xiao Fan didn't mind giving some benefits to useful puppet subordinates, so that the other party would work more wholeheartedly. "Well, that's it, let's go out," Xiao Fan said lightly, looking at Yunshan with a happy face, and then prepared to leave the cave. At this moment, Xiao Fan suddenly sensed that not far from the cave, there were several strong auras approaching here. Among them, there was a breath belonging to the Duang, and it was Yun who had a close relationship with Xiao Fan. The other Duang aura came from the elders of Yunlin sect. Yun and the elders of Yunlin sect also sensed the aura of fighting in Yunshan's retreat, so they hurried over to check the situation. "Master, disciple Yun wants to see you." After arriving at the entrance of Yunshan's cave, Yun and others did not rush in, but asked for permission first. When Yunshan heard the voice, he couldn't help but look at Xiao Fan, with a look of asking for permission. Seeing Xiao Fan nod, Yunshan said, "Come in." Chapter 112. Xiao Fan, Yunner still sounds better. Soon, Yun led the great elder Yun Leng, the second elder Yun Lei, and the third elder Yun Shen into the cave. Seeing the situation in the cave, the four people's expressions changed slightly. When Yun saw Xiao Fan's figure, her mind trembled violently. Yun temporarily suppressed the shock in her heart, pretending not to know Xiao Fan, and said to Yun Shan on the side, "Master, disciples and several elders, just now we sensed the aura of fighting here. I wonder who the enemy is?" Without waiting for Yun Shan to speak, Xiao Fan said directly, "He is not your Yunlan sect's enemy, that person is my enemy. I followed his trail and chased him to Yunlan sect. Just now, I was the one who killed him." As he said that, Xiao Fan gestured to the Wu protector who had turned into a pool of meat paste on the ground. When Yun Shan heard what Xiao Fan said, he immediately agreed, "That's right, you don't have to worry about anything. Yunlan sect has no external enemies. By the way, this Mr. Xiao will be a distinguished guest of Yunlan sect in the future. You must not neglect him." "Hello, Mr. Xiao." Upon hearing this, the three elders immediately saluted to Xiao Fan. Yun's mind flickered for a while, and she also saluted slightly. Xiao Fan smiled and said, "You are too polite." After Yun and the others finished saluting with Xiao Fan, Yun Shan said again, "I have been in seclusion for a long time, but I still haven't been able to touch the opportunity to break through to the Zong level. I plan to come out of seclusion to take a breath and then look for an opportunity to break through." Yun said, "Master, don't be too anxious. Come out of seclusion and relax. Maybe you will break through." Yunling and others also echoed after hearing this. Yun Shan waved his hand, "Okay, let's not talk about this. It's very impolite to entertain guests in this cave. Let's go back to the main hall first." Immediately, the group left the cave and went to the Yunlin sect's main hall. When they arrived at the Yunlin sect's main hall, Yun ordered the servants to serve them tea and cakes, and then they started chatting awkwardly. After chatting for a while, Xiao Fan said, "Mr. Yun Shan and Sect Master Yun have something to discuss. Can the three elders step aside first?" Without waiting for Yunlin and the other two to speak, Yun Shan said directly, "You three can leave." "Yes, old Sect Master." The three responded respectfully and then left. After the three left, Xiao Fan set his sights on Yun and smiled. "I didn't expect that Yun's at the time was actually Yun, the sect master of the Yunlin sect. But that's right, there is no other female Huang in the Jiama Empire except sect master Yun. I was a little slow before." Yun's face changed slightly when she heard this. Yun was not surprised that Xiao Fan recognized her. After all, she had never disguised herself at the beginning. She just took a fake name at random. However, Yun did not expect Xiao Fan to tell her that he knew her in front of Yun Shan. Yun subconsciously glanced in Yun Shan's direction, and then pretended to be calm and said, "Mr. Xiao, did you recognize the wrong person?" Xiao Fan chuckled and said, "Really? When you went to the Warcraft mountain range to seize the purple crystal winged Lion King's purple spirit crystal, you were injured by the purple crystal winged Lion King. It was me who saved you. Have you forgotten so quickly?" Yun's face changed when she heard this. She was not ungrateful, but she didn't know how to face Xiao Fan, who took away her body. What's more, her master was still beside her. Yan didn't want Yan Shan to know that her body was taken away by Xiao Fan. Seeing this, Yan Shan was surprised and said, I didn't expect that Master Xiao knew Yun'er before and saved Yun'er. This time, the black-clothed man has reached the Zong level. If Master Xiao hadn't taken action at that time, I would have died at the hands of that man. Master Xiao saved Yun'er and me successively. He is really a great benefactor of our Yunlin sect. Please accept Yan Shan's greetings again. After saying that, Yan Shan stood up and bowed to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan smiled and said, Mr. Yun is too polite. I just happened to catch up. Yan Shan said, this just shows that Master Xiao and our Yunlin sect have a deep connection. After a pause, Yan Shan said to Yun, Yun'er, I heard that you went to the Monster Mountain Range more than 2 months ago just to find the purple spirit crystal. It just happened to match what Master Xiao said. Since Master Xiao is your savior, why don't you want to recognize him? Do you want to be an ungrateful person? Speaking of the latter, Yan Shan's tone became a little stern. Xiao Fan was watching this scene and could not help but secretly gasp. This old man Yan Shan was really a shrewd man. Yun hurriedly said, Master, calm down. That's not what I meant. By the way, Master just said that the black-clothed man who broke into Yunlin sect had reached Zong level. Yun did not want to continue to dwell on the previous question and directly changed the subject. Yan Shan said, yes, but I don't know where that guy came from. Yun got Yan Shan's confirmation and looked at Xiao Fan in disbelief. Mr. Xiao, are you really a Zong? Last time in the Monster Mountain Range, Xiao Fan told Yun that he was going to fight a Zong level warrior, and he himself was also a Zong. However, Yun always thought that Xiao Fan was joking. Xiao Fan shrugged slightly. When I was in the Monster Mountain Range, I was indeed at the Zong realm, and I told you that I was very strong, but you just didn't believe it. Yun smiled bitterly and said, an 18-year-old Zong, it's really hard for me to believe. Yan Shan was also shocked when he heard Yun's words. He didn't know that Xiao Fan was only 18 years old. After all, some strong people have the ability to maintain their youth, and it is not uncommon to retain the appearance of teenagers even if they are hundreds of years old. Xiao Fan smiled. Zong is a thing of the past. Have you broken through the Zun realm? How is it possible? Yun was stunned when she heard Xiao Fan's words, and her cherry-like mouth opened, like a small round hole. Xiao Fan looked at Yun, and his heart was moved. He said to Yan Shan, Mr. Yun, I want to have a private chat with Sect Master Yun. Is that possible? Yan Shan said hurriedly, of course, you young people can chat. I'll go out and see how the sect has developed in the past few years. Then, Yan Shan said to Yun'er, treat Mr. Xiao well. Don't neglect him. After saying that, Yan Shan turned around and left. Suddenly, only Xiao Fan and Yun were left in the living room. After the experience in the Monster Mountain Range last time, Yun looked a little unnatural when she was alone with Xiao Fan again. Xiao Fan put the chair in front of Yun and sat in front of her face to face. He stared at Yun's beautiful face and chuckled. So your name is Yun. You lied to me and called me Yunzi. Yun sounds better. Well, Yun'er sounds better. Yun looked at Xiao Fan, who was so close to her, and her heartbeat quickened. When she heard Xiao Fan's words, her face suddenly changed. Don't call me that. And why are you sitting so close to me? Xiao Fan leaned forward with his upper body almost touching Yun's cheek. He said softly, of course, I'm sitting so close to you to appreciate your peerless beauty, Yun'er. Besides, didn't we sit even closer last time in the Warcraft Mountains? I missed Yun'er a lot after we parted last time. Did you miss me? Yun felt the breath on Xiao Fan's body and listened to his words. She subconsciously recalled the intimate scene of the two of them last time, and her heartbeat accelerated sharply. Didn't you promise me to treat what happened last time as a dream? Yun suppressed her emotions and said with a cold face. Xiao Fan said, I only promised not to tell anyone about what happened that night, but I didn't promise anything else. Looking at Yun's beautiful face, Xiao Fan lowered his head slightly and kissed her tempting red lips. Chapter 113, Reliving the Old Times with Yun. Soon, the coldness on Yun's face turned red, and her eyes were slightly blurred. Xiao Fan's hand moved subconsciously. The slightly cold touch immediately made Yun Yun regain some clarity. Yun Yun suppressed her mind, pushed Xiao Fan away with a sudden force, and said coldly, "Who do you think I am?" There were 2 faint tear marks on Yun Yun's cheeks. Xiao Fan smiled helplessly. "Sorry, I was impulsive. But in my heart, you are not someone else, you are my wife." After saying that, Xiao Fan reached out and wiped the blood from the corner of his lips. Yun Yun saw this. Her face was slightly unnatural. Taking a deep breath, Yun Yun said, "As the leader of the Yunlin sect, it is impossible for me to get married. Don't have any thoughts about me." Xiao Fan frowned slightly when he heard this. "Why can't the leader of the Yunlin sect get married?" "I won't interfere with your management of the Yunlin sect. If you must use this as an excuse, then I will have a good talk with your master." Yun Yun said, "What do you want to talk to my master about?" Xiao Fan sat up straight and said calmly, "Let him cancel your position as the leader of the Yunlin sect." Yun Yun frowned and said, "Will my master listen to you?" Xiao Fan didn't answer but asked, "Yunner, you should know how eager your master is to break through the Zong level, right?" Yun Yun reacted quickly when he heard this. "Do you have a way to help my master break through the Zong level?" Xiao Fan smiled faintly, "You are worthy of being my Yunner, you are so smart. So, don't use the identity of the leader of the Yunlin sect as an excuse anymore. Moreover, if you marry me, I can help you develop the Yunlin sect and make it stronger. Isn't this what you want?" Yun Yun was immediately confused when she heard what Xiao Fan said. After a while, Yun Yun took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Can you give me some time?" "No problem." Xiao Fan shrugged slightly and said casually, "You can take me around Yunlin sect first and appreciate the scenery of Yunlin sect." "That's fine, right?" "Okay." Yun Yun breathed a sigh of relief, nodded and agreed, and then said, "But you can't do that to me again." Xiao Fan nodded in agreement. Immediately, Yun Yun took Xiao Fan to wander around Yunlin sect and appreciate the scenery of Yunlin sect. It was not until the evening that Yun Yun personally arranged a place for Xiao Fan to stay, and then left with a complicated expression. After returning to the place that Yun Yun arranged for him, Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly and released King Lin from the Yuanqi Tower. "Master, are we in Yunlin sect?" King Lin looked around the surrounding environment and asked curiously. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. "Yes, this is the Yunlin sect, the largest force in the Jiama Empire. Now, your young master, I am a distinguished guest of the Yunlin sect." King Lin looked at him with admiration. "Young master is really amazing," Xiao Fan said. "Next, I plan to stay in the Yunlin sect for a while, and you can also wander around the Yunlin sect at will." "Yes. Wherever the young master is, I'll be there." King Lin heard and nodded without hesitation. The next day, Xiao Fan told Yun Yun about King Lin's affairs. Yun Yun didn't react too much, and she also had a great liking for the cute and well-behaved King Lin. For a period of time, Xiao Fan stayed in the Yunlin sect temporarily. In his words, he was to guide Yun Shan and Yun Yun in their cultivation. Yun Shan obeyed Xiao Fan unconditionally and directly opened the Yunlin sect's martial arts and fighting skills pavilion to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan comprehended all the martial arts and fighting skills of the Yunlin sect, and deduced and created higher-level martial arts, which he uploaded to the chat group Mall, which made him earn nearly 10 million points directly. After the deduction, Xiao Fan was not stingy with Yun Shan and Yun Yun. He directly taught them the fighting skills upgraded according to the Yunlin sect's skills, which shocked the two and made them surprised. In the process of guiding Yun Yun's cultivation, Xiao Fan inevitably had some close contact with Yun Yun intentionally or unintentionally. At first, Yun Yun was a little resistant, but gradually got used to it. In addition, Yun Shan was drumming on the side. Yun Yun was ultimately unable to withstand Xiao Fan's offensive and gradually fell. Of course, while attacking Yun Yun, Xiao Fan did not forget the main business. Yunling, the great elder of the Yunlin sect, suddenly went crazy while practicing and died in his own practice room, which caused a lot of regrets from the Yunlin sect. In addition, Xiao Fan directly asked Yun Shan to go there in person and send a lot of cultivation resources to the Xiao family in Yun City. Xiao Zhan received a large amount of resources sent by Yun Shan in person. Seeing Yun Shan's polite appearance to him, He felt mixed emotions. He never thought that the old leader of the Yunlin sect would be so polite to him one day. Hai Bodong was also shocked when he saw this scene. He was even more fortunate that he had let the Mitel family get in touch with Xiao Fan in advance through Yefei. And when Yun Shan proposed that Yun Yun and Xiao Fan should be engaged, Zhao Zhan and Hai Bodong were shocked to the point of numbness. The leader of the Yunlin sect was actually going to become Zhao Zhan's daughter-in-law. Xiao Fan, who was in the Yunlin sect, didn't care how shocked Zhao Zhan and Hai Bodong were. At this moment, after a month of hard work, he finally conquered Yun Yun. There is no doubt that the final winner is still Xiao Fan. Yun Yun lay on Xiao Fan and said, "You bad guy, I finally let you succeed." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "What's wrong with me? This is just human nature." "Don't say it." Yun Yun stretched out her hand to cover Xiao Fan's mouth and interrupted Xiao Fan directly. Seeing this, Xiao Fan said nothing more, but just stretched out his hand to embrace Yun Yun. After their strength recovered, the two washed up, and then fell asleep in each other's arms. After this experience, Xiao Fan's days became more and more comfortable in the following days. Pleasant time always passes quickly. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed since Xiao Fan succeeded in conquering Yun Yun. On this day, Xiao Fan finally proposed to Yun Yun that he would leave. After all, Xiao Fan had other things to deal with, and he couldn't stay in Yun Lanzong and enjoy the gentle land. Knowing that Xiao Fan was leaving, Yun Yun was a little reluctant, but still expressed understanding. After Xiao Fan said goodbye to Yun Yun, he told Yun Shan about it, and then broke through the space wormhole, took King Lin through space and left Yun Lanzong. Chapter 114. Newcomers join the group, and they get tired of the old and love the new. After Xiao Fan left Yunlin sect with King Lin, he did not go directly to the Black Horn region, but went to the Monster Mountain range again, because Xiao Fan had promised King Lin before that he would capture a snake monster for her and let her control it with the green snake 3 flower pupils. After arriving at the Monster Mountain range, Xiao Fan captured a 4th level peak red flame snake, comparable to the human 9-star fighting spirit level, and then asked King Lin to try to control it with the green snake 3 flower pupils. Under the effect of the awakening pool before, King Lin had fully awakened and could master the green snake 3 flower pupils very skillfully, so it didn't take much effort to successfully control the red flame snake. King Lin's own cultivation level is just entering the fighting level. "Master, thank you." After controlling the red flame snake, King Lin was immediately very happy and thanked Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan rubbed King Lin's head and smiled. "Do you still need to be so polite to me, the young master?" King Lin heard the words and stuck out his tongue happily, and said nothing more. Afterwards, King Lin controlled the red flame snake and found other magic beasts in the Magic Beast Mountain range to practice. Let's go to the Black Horn region," Xiao Fan said to King Lin after King Lin could control the red flame snake with ease. Yeah, King Lin naturally had no objection to this and agreed without hesitation. Xiao Fan was about to take King Lin away, but suddenly the chat group reminder sounded in his mind, and a new person joined the group. "Master, what's wrong?" King Lin asked curiously when he saw Xiao Fan's strange expression. Xiao Fan said, "I have something to do, so I'll leave for the Black Horn region later. You stay in the tower for a while." "Okay," King Lin agreed without asking what it was. Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and he directly put King Lin and the red flame snake into the source tower together, and then sank his consciousness into the chat group of the 10,000 worlds. Xiao Fan temporarily put King Lin away for her safety. A new member has joined the group. Xiao Fan is going to check it out. If the conditions are suitable, he will directly go to the new group members world to sign in. If King Lin is left alone in the Monster Mountain range, it would be too dangerous. The Wanji chat group interface. Ding. Ningong Push joins the chat group. Ding. Daegu joins the chat group. Xiao Fan looked at the chat group prompt and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly. Ningong Push, isn't this the #1 beauty in the snow world? The beauty nicknamed White Fox Face. Xiao Fan is not surprised by this. What surprised Xiao Fan was another group member, Daegu. Daegu is the human body of Ultramantiga. In the world where Xiao Fan lived in his previous life, Ultramantiga was the most popular in the country among the Ultraman series. "Do you believe in light?" This sentence was almost known to everyone in that era. Ultraman Tiga is the light in the hearts of countless Ultraman fans. At this moment, other people in the chat group also received the reminder of the new member joining the group, and the group became lively again. Huang Rong, welcome newcomers to the group. Applause. Xiaoxiao, welcome newcomers. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I am the most knowledgeable person in the group except for the group owner. Show off. Yan Lingjai, judging from the names, are the two who joined the group this time both handsome guys? Curious. Xiaoxiao, at Yan Lingjai, you guessed wrong. Nangong pushes a beauty, and the most beautiful woman in their world. She is so beautiful. Drool. Wan, at Xiaoxiao, Miss Su, please introduce the two newcomers to everyone. Expectation. Zhang Yuan, I am also very curious, how beautiful is this newcomer? Wang Teng, there are so many beauties in our world, any one of them can be called the most beautiful woman in your other worlds. Yi Wen, the face is easy to age, the beauty is gone, only the temperament is in the heart. The most important thing for a woman is the beauty of the soul. Dongba, what beauty, but it is just a passing cloud, only strong strength is the most useful. Yubuku, what the Zhonggang leader said is very true. The world of the swordsman in the snow. In an ordinary inn in the Ling dynasty, Nangong Push was sitting cross-legged in meditation, his consciousness sinking into his mind, feeling a little surprised. She didn't know why this strange voice suddenly appeared in her mind. Nangong Push was surprised in her heart, but she didn't show it on her face. She silently observed the news of the people in the group and didn't speak at the first time. She planned to figure out what suddenly appeared in her mind before responding. Ultraman World, Diego completed the task of defeating the monster again, got rid of the state of Ultraman Tiga, and returned to the appearance of a normal person. Suddenly, he sensed a series of voices in his mind. The chat group of all worlds. Is it someone's prank? Diego naturally knew about the chat group, but when it came to the world of all worlds, he felt a little unbelievable. At least, Diego has not yet discovered the existence of other worlds outside the Earth. Chi World, Warcraft Mountains. Xiao Fan browsed through the messages in the group and saw that only Xiaoxiao and a few other active members were there to chat in the group. But the newcomers did not show up. He could not help but shake his head slightly. It seemed that the two newcomers were very cautious. Xiao Fan, at Nangong Push, at Diego, welcome the newcomers to the group. Why don't the newcomers speak? Do they have any concerns? Xiaoxiao, maybe they don't know about the 10,000 Worlds chat group yet. Xiao Fan, then you have to work harder and explain the functions of the chat group to the newcomers. Xiaoxiao, yes, Lord Thunder Emperor. Bao Fist, Xiaoxiao, at Diego, you should know about the chat group, right? The 10,000 Worlds chat group is a group where members from different worlds communicate in one group. The functions of the chat group. Soon, Xiaoxiao talked about the functions of the 10,000 Worlds chat group again. Xiaoxiao, at Nangong Push, I'm done explaining. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Nangong Push did not speak, but Diego sent a message first. Diego, I understand. Thank you Miss Su for clearing up my doubts. Thank you all for your welcome. Xiaoxiao, you're welcome. I used to love watching the Ultraman series, and my favorite was Ultraman Tiga. Diego, I don't quite understand what Ms. Su means. Xiao Fan, at Diego, Xiaoxiao and I are both time travelers. We watched the Ultraman TV series before we traveled through time. You were one of the protagonists. Diego, how could this be? Also, are there really time travelers in this world? Are you kidding me? Xiao Fan, of course I'm not kidding. It's very simple to verify the truth. Find a place where there is no one. I will go to your world directly through the world shuttle function of the chat group. And by the way, satisfy my curiosity about the Ultraman world. Diego, okay, wait a moment. Yan Lingjai, at Xiao Fan, brother Xiao Fan, I found a problem. Xiao Fan, at Yan Lingjai, what's the problem? Yan Lingjai, you like the new and hate the old. Every time a new person joins the group, you are very active in going to the new person's world. People ask you to come to my world, but you never come. Angry. Huang Rong, I also found out. Hehe. Smirk. Wan, I am always waiting for Lord Thunder Emperor to come. You can wash yourself in advance. Naughty. Xiao Fan. Ahem. Stop it. After I return from the new person's world, I will take time to visit your world. Of course, you can also visit my world. Diegu. Xiao Fan. It's okay. Welcome Mr. Xiao to my world. Xiao Fan was chatting with Yan Lingjai and the other girls. Diegu sent another message and then invited Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan. Okay, I'll come right over. Xiao Fan responded in the group, and then used the world shuttle function of the chat group to travel to the world of Ultraman Tiga. Chapter 115, Surprise Reward, Angry Wang Teng. Ultraman World. Diegu was still a little skeptical at this moment, because the function of the Wanji chat group was really a bit outrageous, especially the function of traveling through different worlds. In addition, according to Xiao Fan and Xiaoxiao, he was actually a character in the TV series they originally watched, which was too unbelievable. Just as Diegu was thinking about it, suddenly an illusory light gate appeared out of thin air not far from him. Then, from the light gate, a handsome and extraordinary young man walked out. This young man was naturally Xiao Fan, who traveled from the Qi world. You are Mr. Xiao. Did you really travel from another world? Diegu saw this scene. His eyes widened and he was shocked. Xiao Fan smiled faintly. Now, do you believe that the chat group of all worlds really exists? I believe it. Diegu nodded, and then said, Mr. Xiao said before that he was quite curious about our world. I can be your guide and take you to visit our world. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. Thank you very much. Diegu said. Mr. Xiao was polite. Then, Xiao Fan wandered around the city casually under the guidance of Diegu. This is also a world full of technology, but it is very different from the Earth world of Xiao Fan's previous life. It is somewhat similar to the Demon Resurrection world where Xiaoxiao is. While wandering around, Xiao Fan directly gave the system a sign-in instruction in his heart. Ding. Sign-in successful. Congratulations to the host. You have obtained an automatic alchemy furnace. Note: this alchemy furnace can automatically refine the most effective elixir according to the materials put in by the host. The length of time it takes to refine the elixir is determined by the preciousness and quantity of the materials, and the longest time is no more than 7 days. What a good thing! Hearing the content of the system reward, Xiao Fan was suddenly surprised. In all the fantasy fairy worlds, elixirs are an important part of auxiliary cultivation, and the Qi world is no exception. Originally, Xiao Fan was going to find Xiao Yan and Yao Chen to refine some elixirs for him, but now with this automatic alchemy furnace, there is no need to be so troublesome. As long as there is a recipe, Xiao Fan can put the corresponding medicinal materials into the automatic alchemy furnace according to the recipe, and then he can automatically refine the elixir. This is much easier than alchemists refining elixirs. Xiao Fan was naturally very satisfied with this kind of reward that can be called a divine artifact. Xiao Fan strolled around for a while accompanied by Diegu, and the sign-in reward was already in hand, so he said goodbye to Diegu, and then directly returned to the Qi world through the world shuttle function of the chat group. Diegu looked at the slowly closing mysterious light door and couldn't help but lose his mind. At this moment, Diegu heard the prompt sound in the chat group in his mind, so he sank his consciousness into the chat group again, but saw that it was Xiao Fan at him. Xiao Fan, at Diegu, I am very satisfied with this trip to the Ultraman world. It is also my help to the newcomers. I will send you a red envelope as a token of my appreciation. Diegu's exclusive red envelope. Diegu, at Xiao Fan. Thank you Mr. Xiao. After thanking him, Diegu also took the red envelope. Diegu received Xiao Fan's red envelope and received 100,000 points. 100,000 points is a lot for newcomers, but for Xiao Fan now, it is actually not worth it. It is mainly because of this sign-in reward. Xiao Fan is very satisfied and does not feel sorry for the mere 100,000 points. Diegu, thank you again for Mr. Xiao's red envelope. Xiaoxiao has already explained the function of the Wanji chat group. Diegu naturally knows the importance of points and is very grateful for Xiao Fan's generosity. When other members of the group saw the red envelope Xiao Fan sent to Diegu, they were also a little excited. Yan Lingjai, at Xiao Fan, brother Xiao Fan, don't you love me anymore? There is no red envelope from others. Pissed off. Huang Rong, brother Xiao Fan, look at me. Naughty. Xiaoxiao, Lord Thunder Emperor is so generous. Worship, Wang Teng, Humphrey, it's only 100,000 points. Is this considered generous? Wan, at Wang Teng, Master Wang, why don't you also send a red envelope of 100,000 points? People won't despise it. Expecting, Zhang Yuan, are you going to send out red envelopes? Don't forget me. Rubbing hands, Wang Teng, I'm not the group owner, why should I send out red envelopes? When new people join the group, shouldn't the group owner send out red envelopes? Although Wang Teng doesn't care about the 100,000 points, all the members in the group are on Xiao Fan's side, which is equivalent to his enemies. Of course, he doesn't want to send out red envelopes. Xiaoxiao, Lord Thunder Emperor has sent out red envelopes many times before. Qian Renxu, yes, it was with the help of Lord Thunder Emperor that I became a first-level god. Wang Teng, I didn't see it when I joined the group, so it doesn't count. Arrogance. Xiao Fan looked at the message in the group, smiled and shook his head. Xiao Fan, I am happy today, so I will send another red envelope to make everyone lively. Red envelope. Yan Lingjai received Xiao Fan's red envelope and got 10,000 points. Huang Rong received Xiao Fan's red envelope and got 8,888 points. Zhu Yuanzhang received Xiao Fan's red envelope and got 9,000 points. Ningong Push received Xiao Fan's red envelope and got 10,000 points. Zhao Longnu received Xiao Fan's red envelope and got 5,000 points. Zhang Yuan. Soon, all the members in the group received Xiao Fan's red envelope. Even Wang Teng was no exception. Yan Lingjai, at Xiao Fan, thank you brother Xiao Fan, love you. Blowing a kiss, Wan, at Xiao Fan, thank you Lord Thunder Emperor, thanks. Qian Renxu, at Xiao Fan, thank you Lord Thunder Emperor, thanks. Xiaoxiao. After the record of receiving red envelopes ended, there was another record of thanking Xiao Fan. However, there was a different message in between. Wang Teng, I only received more than 10,000 points, which is already the highest. Is it necessary to be so excited about these points? I have to say that Wang Teng's luck is amazing. This time he is the lucky king. Xiao Fan gave out a total of 100,000 points, and Wang Teng is the only one who got more than 10,000 points. Yan Lingjai, at Wang Teng, if you think the red envelope points sent by brother Xiao Fan are too few, then you can send a red envelope with more points. Angry. Qian Renxu, young master Xiao sent out red envelopes to welcome new people and to make everyone lively. The size of the red envelope is not important. What's more, young master Xiao directly sent out a red envelope of 100,000 points, which is not too little. Huang Rong, at Wang Teng, do you expect to improve your cultivation by grabbing brother Xiao Fan's red envelope and catch up with brother Xiao Fan's footsteps? The world of the great ruler, Beiyuan Palace. Wang Teng looked at the messages from Yan Lingjai and the others in the chat group, and suddenly a surge of anger rose up, especially Huang Rong's words, which touched his sore spot. A bunch of hateful guys, Wang Teng cursed, wishing he could teach Huang Rong and the others a profound lesson on the spot. Unfortunately, he was not the group owner and could not go to other members' worlds at will. Taking a deep breath, Wang Teng suppressed his anger and continued to reply to messages in the group. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 Group Members Get Together. Tushan Hongong is looking forward to it. Wang Teng, at Huang Rong, nonsense. How could this emperor be short of these points? This emperor doesn't want these points. Xiao Fan's exclusive red envelope. Wang Teng, this emperor has something else to do. You guys with no vision can continue to flatter me. After Wang Teng sent the message, he withdrew his consciousness from the chat group directly to avoid being annoyed. Key World, Warcraft Mountain Range. Xiao Fan couldn't help but laugh when he saw Wang Teng's message, and immediately received the red envelope without hesitation. The red envelope contained the 12,500 points that Wang Teng had snatched before. Xiao Fan thought about it and sent the points out again. He didn't even look at these few points. Moreover, This was only part of what he had just sent out. Xiao Fan, since Prince Wang doesn't need these points, then give them to the newcomers, as a benefit for the newcomers to join the group. I have already sent them to Diego, and these more than 10,000 points will be given to Miss Nangong. Nangong pushes exclusive red envelope. In the world of the snow sword, Nangong Push looked at the message in the group, pondered for a moment, and still received the red envelope. Anyway, she has already received it once. Moreover, Nangong Push has basically confirmed that this chat group really exists. It's just that I don't know what the principle is. Nangong Push received Xiao Fan's red envelope and obtained 12,500 points. Nangong Push, thank you for the red envelope, Mr. Xiao, and thank you for everyone's welcome. Xiao Fan, you're welcome. Since we are lucky enough to join the group, we are all friends. We should help each other and grow together. Xiaoxiao, at Nangong Push, you can upload your skills to the chat group mall to exchange for points, or you can search for some treasures to exchange for points. Use the points to improve your cultivation and you can get revenge sooner. Nangong Push, Ms. Su seems to know a lot about my affairs. Yan Lingjai, at Xiaoxiao, the all-knowing and all-powerful immortal, please start your performance. Smirk, Huang Rong, wait for the show. Naughty, Xiaoxiao, at Yan Lingjai, at Huang Rong, you two have done enough. I have already said that I am not some all-knowing and all-powerful immortal. I am a fangirl of the Thunder Emperor. Knock, Xiaoxiao, at Nangong Push, ignore them. I am a time traveler. Before I traveled through time, I read many novels and movies. You are the characters in them, so I know almost everything about you. Of course, except for Lord Thunder Emperor, who is also a time traveler. Nangong Push, are you saying that I am also a character in a certain film or TV series like the group member named Diego? Xiaoxiao, that's about it. Do you want to know about your future? I know everything. Nangong Push, are there any conditions? Xiaoxiao, just send me a red envelope as a token of your appreciation. I am also following the call of Lord Thunder Emperor to do good things and help friends in the group. Nangong Push, I don't have many points. Please bear with me. Xiaoxiao's exclusive red envelope. Xiaoxiao received Nangong Push's red envelope and received 5,000 points. Xiaoxiao, hehe, I don't mind it being too little. Now I'll tell you about your original life trajectory. Wan, wait. Zhang Yuan, I want to hear it too. Others did not speak, but as long as they were not busy, they were basically paying attention to the news in the group. Xiaoxiao did not delay and directly told Nangong Push about her life. After reading Xiaoxiao's description of her original life trajectory, Nangong Push's expression was a little complicated. After a while of silence, Nangong Push sent a message of thanks to Xiaoxiao again. Nangong Push, at Xiaoxiao, thank you Miss Su. Xiaoxiao, you're welcome. Xiao Fan, at Nangong Push, Miss Nangong doesn't have to worry about the original fate trajectory. Now that you have joined the chat group and know your original fate, you can naturally get a new life. Nangong Push, I know, thank you. Xiao Fan, you're welcome. Xiao Fan, at all members, someone said before that I like new things and dislike old ones, and neglected the old group members. How about this? I just happen to have time now, and the location is also suitable. Anyone who is interested can come to my world now to play, and hunt some monsters to earn points. If you want to come, please sign up. I invite you. Yan Lingjai, Brother Xiao Fan, I want to go. Raise your hand. Huang Rong, Brother Xiao Fan, and me. Wan, I want to go too. Qian Renxu. Soon, except for Wang Teng, other members of the group expressed their desire to go to Xiao Fan's world. Even Long Yu, a home girl, was no exception. In fact, most people in the group have not been to other worlds. This time, seeing Yan Lingjai, Huang Rong and Wan took the lead. Others also wanted to experience the taste of traveling through the world together. Xiao Fan saw that everyone wanted to come, and immediately invited them all. Yan Lingjai was still the most active one, and she accepted the invitation first, and then traveled to the Qi world. Brother Xiao Fan, I finally see you again. Yan Lingjai walked out of the illusory light gate, stepped forward immediately, took the initiative to hug Xiao Fan, and said happily, "Haha, I haven't seen you for a while. Yan Lingjai has become more beautiful again." Xiao Fan rubbed Yan Lingjai's head and said with a smile. Yan Lingjai heard it and immediately became happier. Hee, is that so? I think so too. Tsk, Yan Lingjai, you are really shameless. At this time, a familiar voice sounded, but it was Huang Rong who followed closely and also shuttled to the Dqi world. She happened to see Yan Lingjai holding Xiao Fan and boasting about her beauty. So she teased him. Yan Lingjai let go of Xiao Fan and stuck out her tongue at Huang Rong. Lulu, you are not ashamed. What's wrong? Seeing this, Xiao Fan smiled and shook his head, but didn't say anything. Zhu Yuanzhang, Yi Wen, Xiaoxiao, Doupo, Nangong push. Soon, all the members of the group came to the Dqi world through the shuttle function of the chat group. After taking a look at the surrounding environment, Xiaoxiao said, "Lord Thunder Emperor, is this the Monster Mountain Range?" Xiao Fan nodded and said, "Yes, this is the Monster Mountain Range. You can hunt monsters here, or you can pick medicinal herbs and upload them to the chat group to earn points. Of course, you can also give the herbs to me, and I will help you refine them into pills, which may have different miraculous effects." Xiaoxiao asked curiously, "Lord Thunder Emperor, don't you have thunder attribute? Can you refine pills?" Xiao Fan smiled faintly, "I have my own way. Besides, we are all friends, so don't call me Lord Thunder Emperor all the time. You can just call me by my name, or Young Master Xiao." Qian Renxu said, "I'm used to calling you Young Master Xiao." Yan Lingjai, "No, I want to call you Brother Xiao Fan." Afterwards, most people changed their name for Xiao Fan to Young Master Xiao, while Huang Rong and Yan Lingjai still called him Brother Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan led a group of people to wander around the Monster Mountain Range, but there was nothing to see, so they split up and started hunting monsters in the Monster Mountain Range. While everyone else was hunting monsters, Tushan Hongong did not go out, and Xiao Fan did not take action either. With Xiao Fan's strength, if he took action, no one else would have a chance. Xiao Fan looked at Tushan Hongong, who was standing alone in a corner, and after a moment of hesitation, he walked up to her and said with a smile, "Don't think too much. These monsters are very different from the monsters in your world." Tushan Hongong nodded slightly. "Well, I know, but I still can't bear to take action." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "I understand. How about this? I'll introduce you to a friend. She can be considered a monster." Tushan Hongong looked expectant when she heard this. "Really? That's great." Chapter 117 Kinglin, "Master, you are so awesome." Xiao Fan smiled, and with a slight thought, he brought Kinglin out of the Chi Source Tower. "Master, are you done with your work?" Kinglin was immediately overjoyed to be reunited with Xiao Fan so soon. "Yes." Xiao Fan smiled and nodded, and then said, "I'll introduce you to a friend." When Kinglin came out of the Chi Source Tower, he noticed Tushan Hongong. He turned his head and looked over, and said crisply, "Is this the girl?" Xiao Fan nodded and said, "Yes. Her name is Tushan Hongong." Then, Xiao Fan introduced Tushan Hongong. "This is Kinglin." Then, of course, Kinglin and Tushan Hongong got to know each other. After the two chatted for a few sentences, Kinglin asked curiously, "Hongong, where did you buy the two fox ears on your head? They look so real and beautiful." "Ahem, these are her real ears." Xiao Fan responded on behalf of Tushan Hongong after hearing Kinglin's words, and then said to Tushan Hongong, "Kinglin doesn't know your identity and thinks you are a human, so he asked this question." "Don't mind it, it's okay." Tushan Hongong shook her head slightly, and then said to Kinglin, "I'm not actually a human, but a fox demon." Kinglin hurriedly said after hearing this, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean it." "So, you are a powerful 7th level magic beast transformed into a human? Hongong, you are so amazing." Xiao Fan shrugged slightly and explained on behalf of Tushan Hongong, "In our world, magic beasts can only transform into human form when they reach the 7th level. As for the strength of 7th level magic beasts, they are basically invincible in your world." Afterwards, Xiao Fan said to Kinglin, "Hongong is not a powerful 7th level magic beast, but her future strength should not be weaker than that of a 7th level magic beast. In fact, Hong is not from our world. There are also some friends from other worlds who are now hunting magic beasts and collecting medicinal materials in the Magic Beast mountain range. King Lin's eyes widened immediately, and he was surprised. There are people from other worlds. Xiao Fan rubbed King Lin's head, explained the concept of the heavens and the myriad worlds to King Lin, and then told each other the true identities of King Lin and Tushan Hongong. King Lin was shocked for a long time, and finally calmed down. Soon, she became good friends with Tushan Hongong. In the past, King Lin felt inferior because she had snake scales on her body. Now, she met a person with fox ears, and suddenly felt that it was no big deal to have the characteristics of beasts on her body. Moreover, knowing the existence of the heavens and the myriad worlds, and various different races, King Lin's mind was also much more open. Xiao Fan looked at King Lin's transformation and was happy for her. Xiao Fan took Tushan Hongong and King Lin with him, chatting and strolling around the monster mountain range. If they came across a suitable spiritual medicine, they would certainly not miss it. After a while, a fiery red enchanting figure suddenly turned back. It was undoubtedly Yan Lingjai, who was very intimate with Xiao Fan in the group. Brother Xiao Fan. I told you that you are fickle, right? You only accompany Tushan Hongong and not others. Yan Lingjai came to Xiao Fan and said in a delicate voice with her lips pouted. As soon as she finished speaking, Yan Lingjai also saw King Lin on the other side of Xiao Fan. Hey, why is there another beautiful sister? As she spoke, Yan Lingjai looked at Xiao Fan, her eyes rolling around, and it was unknown what she was thinking. Xiao Fan stretched out his hand and flicked Yan Lingjai on the forehead, and said unhappily, "You are wrongly accusing me again. How can I get bored with the old and love the new? It's just that Hongong's situation is special, and I can't compete with you for the spoils, so I stayed together. Besides, I don't have the ability to clone myself. How can I accompany all of you at the same time? Ouch, it hurts." Yan Lingjai slapped Xiao Fan's fingers away, cried out, and then said, "I was just joking. By the way, who is this lovely sister next to you? Why haven't I seen her before?" King Lin said, "My name is King Lin, and I'm the young master's maid." Xiao Fan smiled and said, "Although King Lin was originally a maid, I have always treated her as a sister." Yan Lingjai smiled mischievously, "I understand. She's a good sister like Huang Rong. You are so good, Yan Lingjai. I haven't seen you for a while, and you say bad things about me again. People just can't stand nagging." As soon as Yan Lingjai mentioned Huang Rong returned to Xiao Fan and glared at Yan Lingjai. Seeing Huang Rong coming, Yan Lingjai smiled and said, "Don't people want to tell the truth?" Xiao Fan was too lazy to continue the topic and asked the two girls, "Why don't you continue to hunt monsters to earn points?" Yan Lingjai said, "It's meaningless. The weak ones have too few points, and the stronger ones are difficult to deal with. Besides, I want to stay with Brother Xiao Fan for a while." Huang Rong said, "My current strength has long been invincible in our world, so there is no need to be so anxious to earn points." Xiao Fan smiled when he heard it. "In this case, why don't we go find some ingredients together, and when the time is almost right, everyone will hold a bonfire dinner together, and then go back separately." "Okay, this is what I am best at." Huang Rong heard it and immediately clapped her hands in agreement. Yan Lingjai, Tushan Hongong and King Lin had no objection to this. Immediately, Xiao Fan took the four girls and began to search for ingredients in the monster mountain range. Gradually, the four girls of King Lin became familiar with each other. Under the influence of the two lively girls Huang Rong and Yan Lingjai, King Lin and Tushan Hongong also became more cheerful. Xiao Fan was surrounded by beauties, and from time to time he was hit by a ball or kissed excitedly. He was free and easy. When it was evening, all the group members returned to the place where they first separated from Xiao Fan, ready to say goodbye to Xiao Fan and return to their own worlds. Because they were not like Xiao Fan, who could stay in other members' worlds indefinitely. Ordinary group members could only stay in other members' worlds for one day at a time. After everyone returned one after another, they learned about Xiao Fan's proposal and expressed their agreement. So, a bonfire dinner was held in the Monster Mountain Range. Miss Huang's cooking skills are really unique. Yes, after eating the food made by Miss Huang, I'm afraid I won't be able to eat other food in the future. Well, it's really delicious. At the bonfire dinner, the most talked about by everyone was the words praising Huang Rong, which made Huang Rong very happy and felt a sense of accomplishment. Yan Linjai said unconvincedly, "She also cooked the food. Why do you only know how to praise Huang Rong?" Everyone fell silent when they heard this. Ahem, Miss Yan Linjai did a good job. After a while, the honest Yi Wen praised against his will. Zhu Yuanzhang echoed, "Well, it's really good. When I was a cowherd, I ate much worse than this." Yan Linjai was satisfied when she heard what the two said. Not bad. There are still people who know how to taste. Everyone else laughed secretly when they heard this. In a joyful atmosphere, this bonfire dinner for people from different worlds gradually came to an end. Afterwards, everyone said goodbye to Xiao Fan and King Lin respectively, and returned to their own worlds. Before leaving, they naturally invited Xiao Fan to visit their world. Xiao Fan also agreed with a smile. "Master, you are really amazing. You can make so many friends from other worlds." After everyone else left, King Lin looked at Xiao Fan and said with admiration. Xiao Fan smiled. "Now you are the same. Are you happy today?" "Yeah, I am very happy." Before meeting Xiao Fan, King Lin had always lived a life of discrimination. After meeting Xiao Fan, the situation was much better. But today was the first time for her to make real friends. Especially Tushan Hongong, who had fox ears like her, made King Lin feel particularly close. That night, Xiao Fan took King Lin and went directly to the Source Energy Tower to rest. The next morning, Xiao Fan took King Lin, broke through the space wormhole, and traveled through space to the Black Horn region. Chapter 118 Unrest in the Black Horn region, targeting Canaan Academy. Xiao Fan had previously refined the space origin fruit, and his mastery of space abilities was even more proficient than many Cheng masters. He tore through space with King Lin, and in just a moment, he arrived at the Black Horn region plain. However, the Black Horn region was not small in size, so it did not directly reach Xiao Fan's destination. Xiao Fan's main destination for coming to the Black Horn region this time was the Canaan Academy, which had a prominent position in the northwest continent. Although the overall strength of the Canaan Academy was not very good, the skills and fighting techniques stored in the Canaan Academy were very impressive. Xiao Fan had previously combined various skills and fighting techniques to create the primary heaven-level skill, Thunder Emperor Ju, and the corresponding primary heaven-level fighting techniques. However, Xiao Fan was not satisfied with this. He wanted to deduce all the skills and fighting techniques to the advanced heaven-level, or even beyond the heaven-level. He had already made some gains in the Yunlin sect before, and the Canaan Academy's library became his new goal. In addition, Xiao Fan was also preparing to take over the Canaan Academy. Canaan College itself has many strong people. Although these strong people are only for the northwest continent, they are also quite useful. The resources of Yunlin sect and Canaan College can be used to develop and expand the Xiao family. Not only Canaan College, but even the forces in the entire Black Horn region are all in Xiao Fan's target. Anyway, the Black Horn region has always been a place where the black eats the black. Xiao Fan has swallowed up all these forces without any psychological burden. Xiao Fan will go to Zhongzhou sooner or later. Before going to Zhongzhou, he will make the northwest continent a solid piece of iron as the back garden of the Xiao family. After Xiao Fan landed on the Black Horn plain with King Lin, he released his soul power to sense the direction, then reached out and held King Lin, and flew away. Not long after, a huge city made of black boulders appeared in Xiao Fan's sight. Xiao Fan pondered for a moment, and landed directly at the gate of the city with King Lin. He glanced at the top of the city gate casually, and saw the three big characters Black Seal City engraved on it. Black Seal City, it's quite a coincidence. In the original novel, Xiao Yan's first stop when he arrived at the Black Horn region seemed to be the Black Seal City. Thinking in his heart, Xiao Fan took King Lin's hand and walked into the city. Walking in the air, it turned out to be a Zong. A Zong expert is so terrifying. Such a young Zong, I wonder what force he comes from? The Black Horn region is about to be in turmoil. There were many people who were preparing to enter the city at the gate. They saw Xiao Fan and King Lin walking in the air. Seeing Xiao Fan and King Lin enter the city, everyone couldn't help but be in an uproar. As for those who were guarding the city gate to collect the entrance fee, they did not dare to stop them at all. and they all bowed and stood on one side, respectfully watching Xiao Fan and King Lin leave. Go and report to the higher-ups. There are strange Zong experts entering the city. After Xiao Fan and King Lin entered the city, a strong man who looked like a leader said to one of his city gate guards. Yes, the man agreed respectfully, and then hurried to the city to report the news. Everything behind him was completely exposed in Xiao Fan's sole perception. However, Xiao Fan was too lazy to care about anything. Xiao Fan roughly remembered that Black Seal City belonged to a force called Eight Gates. If the people of the Eight Gates were not tactful, he could just take advantage of the Eight Gates. Black Seal City, in a luxurious mansion, the leader of the Eight Gates, Yuan Yi, soon received a report from his subordinates. A mysterious Zong at the age of 17 or 18, Yuan Yi frowned, a little suspicious. He was old, but only at the two-starred Huang realm, and was still a long way from Zong. There were not many Zong masters in the entire Black Horn area, and he was really unwilling to believe the 17 or 18-year-old Zong reported by his subordinates. Yuan Yi felt that the people below must have poor eyesight and made a mistake. Obviously, he didn't take it too seriously. Yuan Yi waved his hand and said, "Okay, I know. Tell the people below not to mess with that person casually." However, just in case, Yuan Yi still gave a statement. On the other side, Xiao Fan didn't know Yuan Yi's reaction, but even if he knew, he wouldn't care. Xiao Fan took King Lin to stroll around Heian City, then bought a map of the Black Horn region, and went directly out of Heian City and continued to head towards Canaan College. Xiao Fan planned to stay in Canaan College for a while to deal with other forces in the Black Horn region, but he was not in a hurry. After learning the detailed location of Canaan College from the map, Xiao Fan took King Lin and walked in the air, heading straight to the destination. In less than half a day, the two had arrived at the area of Canaan College. "Who are you? What are you doing at Canaan College?" At this moment, a gray-robed figure suddenly flew out from an inconspicuous town, looked at Xiao Fan with some vigilance, and questioned. Xiao Fan glanced at this person casually, sensing that this person had the strength of a 7-starred Wang, which was not weak in the northwest continent. Xiao Fan remembered that it was mentioned in the original book that no one was allowed to forcefully fly within 100 miles of Canaan College, otherwise they would be attacked. It seems that this person was the guard arranged by Canaan College outside. However, after sensing that Xiao Fan might be a Zong strongman, he did not act rashly. The so-called rules, when facing a strong man, will still be flexible. Xiao Fan's mind was racing, and he chuckled and said, "Don't be nervous, I have something to ask Elder Qian Mu of your college. It's about the real dean of Canaan College. Please inform him." The dean of Canaan College, Mang Tanchai, was no longer in the college. Xiao Fan was under his banner and was not worried about being exposed. Now the strongest in the college are the two elders Qian Bai. Xiao Fan plans to start with them and gradually control Canaan College. These two people are at the peak of Zong strength, which is already the top existence in the northwest continent. It is not a loss to accept them. The Duang's face changed slightly when he heard this. Since this matter involved Elder Qian Mu and the dean, he did not dare to be negligent. "Please wait on the ground first, I will send someone to inform them." "Okay." Xiao Fan nodded slightly and landed on the ground with King Lin. Seeing this, the Duang was relieved and believed Xiao Fan's words. The inner courtyard of Canaan College seemed to be hidden behind a certain space force, which was a bit difficult to find. Moreover, in Xiao Fan's eyes, the manpower and property of Canaan College would all belong to him, so he would naturally not choose to break in destructively. Therefore, Xiao Fan made up an excuse and prepared to trick Qian Mu out first. When he controlled Qian Mu, he could easily enter the inner courtyard and gradually control Canaan College. "What's your name, sir?" After landing on the ground, the Duang asked tentatively. Xiao Fan said calmly, "My last name is Zhao." "What's your name?" the Duang said. "So it's young Master Zhao. I'm Hong Luo, an elder from the outer courtyard of Canaan College." Xiao Fan nodded slightly. "Elder Hong, I'll make a note of it." Hong Luo smiled and said, "Please wait for a moment, young Master Zhao and this girl. I'll send someone to notify the inner courtyard right away." "Yes." Xiao Fan nodded calmly, indicating his agreement. After Hong Luo arranged for someone to report the news, He led Xiao Fan and King Lin to a reception point in Heping Town and entertained them warmly. Xiao Fan sipped his tea calmly, and King Lin sat quietly beside him, not seeing any problems at all. A quarter of an hour later, Xiao Fan suddenly sensed the aura of two peaked Zong masters approaching them quickly. His brows moved slightly, and he thought to himself, "Here they come." Chapter 119 Chapter 119 The Big Liar. The inner courtyard elder Xiao Fan. After a while, two old men in grey robes, full of vicissitudes of life, appeared in the sight of Xiao Fan and his companions. Xiao Fan sensed the aura of the two men, both of whom were at the peak of Zong, and it seemed that they were the two elders Qian Bei. What surprised Xiao Fan a little was that the two elders Qian Bei arrived at the same time. After the two grey-clothed old men arrived here, their eyes swept around and finally fell on Xiao Fan. One of the grey-clothed old men said lightly, "I heard that you have news about the Mangtian ruler." Xiao Fan did not answer but asked, "Who are you?" The grey-clothed old man said lightly, "I am Qianmu you are looking for, and the one next to me is Bailey." Xiao Fan said, "It is a secret. I can only tell you two separately." Qianmu looked at Xiao Fan deeply, nodded and said, "Okay, you come with us." After that, Qianmu and Bailey moved slightly and flew away in the air. Xiao Fan said to King Lin, "Wait here for a moment. I'll be back soon." After saying that, without waiting for King Lin's response, Xiao Fan directly stepped into the air and chased after Qianmu and Bailey. Not long after, the three of them arrived at an open space one after another. Qianmu looked at Xiao Fan and said, "I didn't expect that you are so young, but you already have the strength of a Zong. It's really a young man to be feared. Are you from Zongzhou?" Bailey looked at Xiao Fan and was also quite shocked. Xiao Fan smiled faintly. "This level of strength is nothing in Zongzhou. Let's talk about business. What Dean Mangtian Kai wants me to tell you is the method to solve the riot of the fallen heart flame under the burning heaven Chi training tower." Does Mangtian Kai really have a method to solve the riot of the fallen heart flame? What is the method? Bailey was surprised when he heard what Xiao Fan said. In fact, Qianmu and Bailey had some doubts about Xiao Fan, but after seeing Xiao Fan walking in the air and not denying that he was from Zongzhou, their doubts faded a lot. At this moment, when Xiao Fan mentioned the falling heart flame again, the two of them had almost no doubts in their hearts. "That's right." Xiao Fan nodded slightly, and then said, "The way to solve the falling heart flame riot is to use the thing in my hand." While speaking, Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and he took out two puppet talismans from the system space. Puppet talismans are not things from the Qi world, so Xiao Fan is not worried that they will recognize them. Qianmu frowned and said, "What is this? How to use it?" Xiao Fan said nonsense casually, "I don't know what this is either." According to Dean Mangtianchai, when you two get near the falling heart flame, activate one of them respectively, and you can completely seal the falling heart flame. As he spoke, Xiao Fan handed a puppet talisman in each hand to Qianmu and Bailey respectively. Xiao Fan felt that if he could avoid taking action, it would be better not to do it. This would save trouble and avoid unnecessary trouble. Qianmu and Bailey had almost no doubts at this moment, and they could not sense any danger from the puppet talisman, so they both reached out to take it. Xiao Fan put the two puppet talismans in their hands, and suddenly slapped them hard, slapping both puppet talismans into their palms. Qianmu and Bailey didn't react at all, and the two puppet talismans had already sunk into their bodies. Alas, one more wasted. Xiao Fan shook his head slightly, feeling a little sorry when he saw that both puppet talismans were successfully used. Qianmu greets the master, Bailey greets the master. Xiao Fan was feeling a little sorry, but Qianmu and Bailey bowed to him at the same time, speaking respectfully. Xiao Fan waved his hand and said, "Okay, no need to be polite. From now on, you can call me Master Xiao in front of outsiders, and call me Master when we meet alone." "Yes, Master." The two heard the words and responded respectfully at the same time. Xiao Fan pondered for a moment, then continued, "Su Qian also knows about my visit to you, right?" Qianmu responded, "Yes." Xiao Fan said, "Tell Su Qian that Mangtianchai asked me to find you because he wanted me to be the successor of Canaan College, and that you and Su Qian would cooperate with me to take over the college. However, He must keep it secret for the time being and not tell anyone else. The official announcement will be made when the time is right. Upon hearing this, Qianmu and Bailey responded respectfully at the same time. I obey your orders. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. Okay, let's go back. After we go back, you can talk to Xiao about it, and then I will talk to him about the details. Then, the three of them walked through the air and returned to Heping Town outside Canaan College again. After returning to Heping Town, Qianmu said to Hong Luo, we have taken the people away, and you can continue to guard. Yes, Hong Luo agreed respectfully, and did not dare to ask any more questions. Afterwards, Qianmu and Bailey took Xiao Fan and Kinglin and went straight to the inner courtyard of Canaan College. Arriving at the inner courtyard, Qianmu and Bailey went straight to Xiao and told him everything according to Xiao Fan's instructions. They said that they had already confirmed it and there was no problem. They asked Xiao to cooperate fully. Xiao had actually wanted to retire like Qianmu and Bailey a long time ago. After hearing the news, he not only did not have any resistance, but was very happy. With the guarantee of the two elders Qianmu and Bailey, Xiao did not have any doubts and directly accepted Xiao Fan's identity as the heir of Canaan College. It was smoother than Xiao Fan had imagined. However, Xiao Fan was not in a hurry to come forward. He asked Xiao to temporarily arrange a title of elder in the inner courtyard for him to adapt to the college environment first. Xiao readily accepted Xiao Fan's request and recognized it more in his heart. Xiao personally arranged a nice courtyard for Xiao Fan to live in, and then prepared to say goodbye and leave. At this time, Xiao Fan called Xiao, Great Elder, I have something else that I would like to ask you to do. Xiao smiled and said, Elder Xiao Fan, just tell me what you want to say. Xiao Fan said, the girl next to me is called Kinglin. She has a very good talent for cultivation, but she started to cultivate a little late, so she is still a fighter. I want to keep her in the inner courtyard and give her the identity of an inner courtyard disciple. Xiao frowned slightly when he heard what Xiao Fan said. Why not let her stay in the inner courtyard to take care of your daily life, and wait until her cultivation reaches at least the level of a fighter, and then officially become an inner courtyard disciple? Xiao Fan pondered for a moment, nodded and said, okay, that's it. Xiao made some polite remarks again, and then said goodbye and left. I'm sorry, young master, I have caused you trouble. Kinglin pinched the corner of her clothes and whispered after Xiao left. Xiao Fan rubbed her head and said with a smile, what kind of trouble is this? I believe you will become a fighting master in no time. Okay, now please help me clean up my residence. Xiao Fan said this deliberately to change the subject and prevent Kinglin from thinking too much. Yes, I'll clean it up right away. Kinglin heard this and immediately gathered her mind and started to get busy. Xiao Fan looked at Kinglin's busy figure and felt a faint warmth, then he cleaned up the house with Kinglin. Not long after, the two of them cleaned up their new residence. Xiao Fan gave Kinglin some pointers on her cultivation, and then sank his consciousness into the chat group. He hadn't signed in yet in the world of Snowblade. Entering the chat group interface, Xiao Fan saw Huangrong, Yan Lingjai, and Xiaoxiao again. These active members were in the water group. They chatted casually for a few words, and then at Ningong Push. Xiao Fan, at Ningong Push, I'm going to go to your world later. It won't be inconvenient, right? Chapter 120 Sign into the Snow World. The Great Elder invites you. Ningong Push, at Xiao Fan, number. Welcome Master Xiao to our world. Huangrong, at Ningong Push, Miss Nangong. Can I go too? Yan Lingjai, and me, I want to go too. How long you, take me with you. Among the group members, the three of them are the most idle, and they basically have nothing to do. Granny Sun was originally in the ancient tomb, but since Granny Sun took Yango away last time, only Zhao Longnu was left. Even with Zhao Longnu's calm personality, she was a little uncomfortable living alone. In addition, going to other worlds does not violate the rules of the tomb school, and Zhao Longnu just took advantage of the loophole. Of course, in addition to the three of them, Xiaoxiao also expressed her intention to go to the world in the snow. Ningong Push then directly invited everyone. Soon, Xiao Fan and Zhao Longnu and others traveled to the world in the snow one after another. After arriving at the snowy world, Xiaoxiao suggested. Miss Nangong, why don't I accompany you to avenge you? With Master Xiao here, your enemies are no big deal. Maybe I can deal with them. Yan Linjai said. Yes, let's go together and beat the bad guys. Nangong Push pondered for a moment, shook his head and said, thank you all for your kindness, but I still want to take revenge with my own hands. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. That's fine. Anyway, with the help of the chat group, I believe it won't be long before you can surpass the so-called second best in the world. Nangong Push said in a solemn voice. I will definitely surpass him. Xiao Fan suddenly remembered something. By the way, I looted a lot of blood body in the Fenian world before, and almost forgot about it. Zilongnu, Miss Nangong, you can each take one. As he said that, Xiao Fan took out the blood body from the ring and gave one to Nangong Push and Zilongnu respectively. Thank you, Master Xiao. Zilongnu and Nangong Push took the blood body and thanked Xiao Fan. Su Xiao said, don't underestimate this blood body. This blood body can improve my strength by 50 years. Yan Linji, yes, Brother Xiao Fan also gave me one, which greatly improved my strength. Huang Rong echoed, yes, I am the same. Moreover, in addition to improving strength, the blood body can also be used to heal wounds, severe injuries, and dying can also be quickly recovered. This is too precious. Nangong Push was a little shocked when he heard this. Xiao Fan waved his hand and said, Wrong and I have all taken it. Each person can only take one. You don't have to refuse. Thank you. Nangong Push and Zilongnu thanked Xiao Fan again when they heard this. Xiao Fan smiled. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Miss Nangong, take us around and enjoy the scenery of different worlds. Okay, Nangong Push agreed, and then took Xiao Fan and Huang Rong to stroll in the world in the snow. But soon, Huang Rong and Yan Linjai lost interest. This was not much different from the world they were in. Zilongnu had been in the ancient tomb before, and she was a little curious about the things in the outside world. Xiaoxiao had a different expectation for the world in the snow because she had seen the plot in the snow. As for Xiao Fan, while strolling around, he had already issued a sign-in instruction to the system in his heart. Ding! Sign-in successful. Congratulations to the host. You have obtained Yimu Zhuan Yanlei. Note: after refining, you can enhance the energy of thunder attribute, and you can experience vitality in thunder. This reward is a bit interesting, and it is a bit similar to the strange fire. Thinking in his heart, Xiao Fan did not take out the reward for the time being, and was ready to refine the Yimu Zhuan Tianlei when he returned to the Qi world. After finishing the business, Xiao Fan also calmed down and played with the girls. The group played in the snow world for most of the day. Xiao Fan took the lead to say goodbye, and then the others said goodbye to Nangong Push and returned to their own worlds. After watching Xiao Fan and others leave, Nangong Push pondered for a while and did not take the blood body directly. She planned to use the points to improve some of her cultivation first, and then take the blood body to improve in the later stage. After all, the further you go, the more points you need to improve your cultivation. Master, you're back. In the Qi world, Canaan Academy, Xiao Fan's new home, Qinglan saw Xiao Fan return, and her face immediately showed joy. Before Xiao Fan went to the snow world, he had told Qinglan and asked her to stay for a while, so that if someone came to find him, he could prevaricate first. Hearing Qinglan's words, Xiao Fan nodded with a smile. Did anyone come to see me during this period? Qinglan shook his head slightly. No. Xiao Fan said, no, that's good. By the way, I have something for you. Qinglan had not taken the blood body yet. Xiao Fan had tried it before, and the blood body had almost no effect on improving cultivation at the later stage. It would be better to let Qinglan take it now. Of course, Xiao Fan's later stage was very different from Nangong Push's later stage. Qinglan looked at the crystal clear red fruit in Xiao Fan's hand, and her eyes showed joy. Master, what is this? It looks so beautiful. Xiao Fan smiled and said, this is not for fun, this is for eating. If you eat it, you can improve your cultivation. Maybe you can break through to the level of a great fighter. Qinglan's eyes lit up when she heard it. Really? In that case, I don't need you to speak well of the elders to join the inner courtyard. Xiao Fan rubbed Qinglan's little head. Take it and try to practice. Don't think about anything else. Yeah, Qinglan agreed, took the blood body immediately, and then began to practice. Xiao Fan was guarding King Lin on the side, and was not in a hurry to refine Yimugzuanshan. Half an hour later, King Lin finally completely refined and absorbed the medicinal power of the blood body, and her cultivation level soared from the original fighter level to the 3-star great fighter level. One blood body increases one's power by 50 years. This is just a general statement. The specific improvement depends on one's aptitude and many other factors. It is already very good that King Lin can break through to the 3-star grand fighter in one fell swoop. At this time, Xiao Fan was a little annoyed that he had forgotten to use the blood body for Xiao Zhan and his 3 brothers. However, there is no need to rush. He will return again in 2 days. Next, Xiao Fan prepared to go to the Burning Heaven Qi Training Tower to refine Yimugzuanshan to improve his cultivation. Xiao Fan and King Lin explained it to each other, and were about to go to the Burning Heaven Qi Training Tower when a disciple suddenly came to report that the Great Elder had invited him. Did the Great Elder say anything? Xiao Fan raised his eyebrows and asked the disciple who reported it. No, the disciple replied respectfully. Xiao Fan explained it to King Lin again, and then, under the guidance of the disciple, he went to the meeting hall of Canaan College. Soon, they arrived at their destination. In the meeting hall, besides Xiao, there were several other elders, all of whom were elders of the inner courtyard. Xiao Fan, you are here. Seeing Xiao Fan coming, Xiao greeted him with a smile. Xiao Fan bowed slightly. Great Elder, what do you want to talk to me about? Chapter 121, Refining Yimugzuanshan Thunder. The strange fire riots. Xiao said, it just so happens that the elders are gathering today to discuss matters, so I'll take this opportunity to introduce you to each other. Xiao Fan bowed and said, thank you, Great Elder. Xiao smiled and said, this is what I should do. No need to be polite, you can sit there. As he spoke, Xiao extended his hand to indicate one of the empty seats to Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan nodded slightly and sat down in that empty seat. The other elders in the meeting hall looked at Xiao Fan inexplicably when they saw him coming. Xiao introduced him to everyone with a smile. This newcomer is called Xiao Fan. He is the candidate for the elder recommended by Elder Qian Bai. Don't look at his young age, but he is already as powerful as me. Swish. Hearing Xiao's words, the faces of the elders present changed drastically, and they were greatly shocked. Such a young Zhang? Is it true? After a while, one of the elders asked with some doubt. Xiao said with a smile, of course it is true. Not only Elder Qian and Elder Bei, but I have also confirmed it. By the way, the person Xiao Fan just spoke to was Elder Huo, a 5th grade peak alchemist. Xiao Fan bowed slightly and said, hello, Elder Huo. Elder Huo said, you can just call me Old Man Huo. Then, Xiao introduced other inner court elders to Xiao Fan, such as Elder Liu, the tower guard of the Tanfan Refining Qi Tower, and Elder Hao, the warehouse manager. When everyone learned that Xiao Fan was a Zhang strongman, they also seemed very polite. After introducing both parties, Xiao said, in addition to introducing Xiao Fan to everyone, there is another thing, that is, the problem with the Tanfan Refining Qi Tower. Elder Huo frowned and said, is there a problem with the Tanfan Refining Qi Tower again? Without waiting for Xiao to answer, Elder Liu on the side took over the conversation and said, it's not serious at the moment, but the thing below will impact the seal from time to time. According to my experience, it would be good if the seal can last for about 3 years. Xiao Fan listened to the words of several people and his heart moved slightly. It seems that the fallen heart flame did not start to move in the year Xiao Yan entered school, but the initial fluctuations were not too strong. Calculating the time, it has been almost a year since he first left the Xiao family. A year has passed since Xiao Yan and Nelin Yanren's 3-year agreement. In the original work, Xiao Yan was hunted down by the Yunlin sect after completing the 3-year agreement, and then fled the Jiama Empire and came to Canaan College. In other words, if nothing unexpected happens, the fallen heart flame will indeed have 2 to 3 years to completely riot and break the seal. Xiao Fan listened to everyone's discussion quietly, and did not speak casually. Anyway, there would be no problem in the short term. When it completely erupts in more than 2 years, he must have at least the cultivation of a Cheng, right? Dealing with a fallen heart flame is a piece of cake, isn't it? What's more, There is Xiao Yan, who specializes in collecting strange fire. After discussing for a while, everyone still had no new ideas. They could only strengthen patrols and pay attention to strengthening the seal at all times. Afterwards, Su Qian waved his hand, and everyone dispersed. Elder Liu, wait a moment. After leaving the meeting hall, Xiao Fan suddenly called out to Elder Liu, who was guarding the Tanfan refining chi tower. Elder Xiao, what's wrong? Elder Liu was stopped by Xiao Fan and asked curiously. Xiao Fan smiled. I'm going to go to the Tanfan refining tower to practice in seclusion, but I'm new here and not familiar with the inner courtyard, so I want to go to the Tanfan refining tower with Elder Liu. Elder Liu smiled when he heard this. I see, then Elder Xiao, come with me. But the Burning Heaven refining tower is probably of very limited use to a strong man of your level. I know, I'm just a little curious and want to see it. Xiao Fan nodded slightly, and immediately went to the direction of the Tanfan refining tower with Elder Liu. Not long after, Xiao Fan followed Elder Liu to the Tanfan refining tower, the most important place in Canaan Academy. After entering the Tanfan refining tower, Xiao Fan sensed that an invisible flame suddenly appeared in his body. However, this invisible flame was too weak for him. Apart from feeling that his body was a little warmer, there was nothing else unusual. After entering the Tanfan refining tower, Elder Liu and Xiao Fan explained some precautions, and then returned to his position guarding the tower. Xiao Fan, on the other hand, gradually went deeper into the Tanfan refining chi tower. Xiao Fan did not pay special attention to which floor he had entered the Tanfan refining chi tower. He stopped only when there were no other practitioners on one of the floors. Then, Xiao Fan randomly found a training room and entered it. After closing the stone door of the training room, Xiao Fan sat cross-legged on a jade platform, and with a slight movement of his mind, he took out the Yimugzuanshan thunder from the system space. It was a ball of thunder energy with purple and blue in it. After being released by Xiao Fan, it kept making crackling sounds, and many lightning arcs flashed continuously. In an instant, the entire training room was filled with violent thunder energy. I wonder how much it can be improved this time? Xiao Fan was in the center of the thunder, but he was not panicked at all. Not only did his body not feel any pain or discomfort, but it was warm and comfortable as if he had returned to his mother's arms. This was exactly the effect of Xiao Fan's body being transformed by the thunder source fruit after he took it before. Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and a black vortex suddenly appeared in his danshan. From the black vortex, a terrifying devouring force was emitted, constantly devouring and absorbing the thunder energy in the training room. It was the magical power that Xiao Fan had obtained by signing in before, the heaven devouring and earth devouring. Xiao Fan had used this magical power many times before, and the effect was very good. This time to absorb thunder energy was no exception. However, what surprised Xiao Fan was that under the devouring of the heaven devouring and earth devouring magical power, the speed at which the thunder energy in the training room was reduced was not very fast. Xiao Fan carefully sensed it and soon found that it was not that the heaven devouring and earth devouring magical power was not effective, but that the thunder energy was being continuously generated in the training room. Although the speed at which the thunder energy was generated was not as fast as the speed at which he devoured it, it was also very fast. Sensing this change, Xiao Fan was not surprised but happy. With more thunder energy generated, his cultivation strength could also increase accordingly, right? Xiao Fan no longer thought about it, and continued to activate the heaven devouring and earth devouring magical power, frantically devouring and refining the terrifying thunder energy. As Xiao Fan refined it, the total amount of fighting spirit in his body was also growing rapidly. What Xiao Fan didn't know was that while he was frantically devouring and refining the thunder energy, there was another big commotion in the Tanfan refining tower. The originally silent fallen heart flame seemed to be stimulated by the violent attributes of the thunder energy, and it frantically attacked the surrounding seals. In the Tanfan refining tower, Elder Liu, Elder He and other tower guards sensed the changes in the tower, and their faces changed drastically, and they quickly gathered together. What's going on? Why did that guy start to attack the seal again? Wasn't he agitated not long ago? Elder He sensed the impact of the fallen heart flame on the seal and said with an unpleasant face. Elder Liu shook his head and said, Who knows what that guy is crazy about again? Let's evacuate the students first, and then try to strengthen the seal. As for the reason for the guy's riot, we can only wait and find out later." Hearing this, the other elders nodded helplessly and then began to evacuate the students in the tower. "Wait, there's still one person in the tower." After the students were evacuated, the elders were preparing to strengthen the seal as much as possible. Elder Liu suddenly thought of something and spoke loudly. Chapter 122. The elders were shocked. "A little girl." Elder He frowned and said, "I saw the new elder Xiao Fan coming with you. Is he in there?" With such a big commotion, he still hasn't come out. "Isn't he a little ignorant?" Elder Liu said, "I'll go and see what's going on first." After saying that, without waiting for others to answer, Elder Liu quickly went deep into the bottom floor of the Tanfan refining Qi Tower and arrived outside the training room where Xiao Fan was. Just after arriving a few dozen meters outside the training room where Xiao Fan was, Elder Liu immediately sensed a violent and terrifying pressure. In addition, there was a faint suction force that made the fighting spirit in his body agitated. "What's going on? What is Xiao Fan doing?" Sensing this scene, Elder Liu's face changed drastically and he spoke in surprise. At this moment, he was a little afraid to approach the training room where Xiao Fan was, because he found that once he approached, the violent pressure would oppress him so much that he could hardly straighten his back. What's more terrifying is that the suction force made him feel a sense of crisis of death. Helplessly, Elder Liu had to return to the upper level and inform the other elders of the matter. Soon, all the other elders gathered outside the training room where Xiao Fan was, but they all looked at each other helplessly. Even the great elder Xiao was helpless. "Elder," he said, "if it really doesn't work, we can only ask elders Qian Bei and to help." And this elder Xiao Fan was also introduced by them. Qian nodded and said, "Okay, I'll go find elders Qian Bei and to come over." At this moment, a terrifying aura suddenly released from the training room and suddenly pressed towards them. Under the pressure of the terrifying aura, all the elders lost their ability to move. Hiss! This terrifying aura, could it be Zun? Sensing the terrifying aura, Qian suddenly widened his eyes and couldn't help but scream in shock. The other elders were all shocked beyond words. Originally, when Qian introduced that Xiao Fan had the cultivation of Zong, they already found it hard to believe. But now that they felt the terrifying aura released by Xiao Fan, they realized that Qian had underestimated it. At this moment, in the training room, Xiao Fan finally absorbed all the scattered thunder energy. Only a purple and green Z-shaped lightning seed remained, which looked much dimmer and drained. Xiao Fan pondered for a moment and kept the lightning seed, intending to give it to his second brother Xiao Li. Anyway, the energy in it was almost exhausted, and even if Xiao Fan swallowed and refined it, he could not improve again. 5-star Zun, raised 2 stars of cultivation. Not bad. Xiao Fan put the lightning seed into the system space, sensed his current situation, and thought secretly in his heart. After finishing the training, Xiao Fan quickly sensed the dozen elders guarding outside. What are they doing here? Xiao Fan thought secretly in his heart, restrained his breath, stood up, opened the door of the training room, and walked out. "Xiao Fan, you finally came out." Seeing Xiao Fan come out, Qian said with a wry smile. After Xiao Fan restrained his breath, the pressure on Qian and the elders disappeared. Now, they are full of awe for Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan asked curiously, "What's wrong? What happened?" Qian said solemnly, "Tell me first, have you broken through to the Zun realm?" Xiao Fan thought of the momentum just now, and it was probably sensed by Qian and the others, so he nodded and said, "Yes, I just refined a treasure with thunder attribute, and then I broke through." An 18-year-old Zun is really amazing. After getting Xiao Fan's confirmation, Qian murmured. His mind was greatly shocked. The other elders around were also shocked beyond words. What kind of monster did the 2 elders recruit? Xiao Fan shrugged slightly. "It's just some chance." "By the way, Great Elder, you haven't told me what happened?" Qian gathered his thoughts after hearing that, and said with a wry smile, "When you broke through, the noise was a little too loud. I wonder if the guy at the bottom of the tower was affected by the noise of your breakthrough and became agitated and frantically attacked the seal." Xiao Fan touched his nose and said embarrassedly, "I didn't expect this to happen. That guy shouldn't have broken the seal. right? Su Qian shook his head. Of course not, otherwise we wouldn't stay here. Xiao Fan said, since it was caused by me, let me and everyone else go to see the situation. If the seal is loose anywhere, the power of space that I control may be able to play a role. Elder He's eyes lit up when he heard Xiao Fan's words. Elder Xiao Fan is right. With Elder Xiao Fan's terrifying strength, it will be much easier to strengthen the seal. Afterwards, the other elders also echoed and expressed their congratulations to Xiao Fan at the right time. Xiao Fan said, you elders are too kind. Let's go and reinforce the seal first. Everyone had no objection to this. Immediately, under the leadership of Su Qian, Xiao Fan and other elders found the weak points of the seal based on the strength of the leaked breath of the fallen heart flame and reinforced it to a certain extent. After doing all this, the elders breathed a sigh of relief when they saw the Tanfan refining Qi Tower returning to calm. Xiao Fan frowned slightly and said, Grand Elder, fellow elders, based on my observation, I'm afraid that the fallen heart flame will completely erupt. I'm afraid it's inevitable. The seal left by the Dean has already had holes everywhere, and the strength of the fallen heart flame is also growing rapidly. Our reinforcement of the seal and our repeated oppression of the fallen heart flame are also a kind of promotion for the growth of the fallen heart flame. Once a certain critical point is reached, the fallen heart flame will break the seal and come out. Hearing this, the relaxed look of the crowd could not help but tense up again. Su Qian sighed slightly and said, we also know this is the case, but there is no other way. We can only try to delay it. It would be great if we can delay it until the Dean comes back. Xiao Fan said, perhaps, we should also find another way to break the deadlock. Su Qian said, for the time being, we can only delay it and try to find a way out. Xiao Fan nodded slightly and said nothing more. He raised this point as a precautionary measure in advance. Then, the group dispersed with heavy hearts. Xiao Fan also left the Tanfan refining Qi Tower and returned to his residence. Auntie, why did you go to the herb warehouse to steal herbs again? If you want to eat herbs, don't you go to the mountains to find them yourself? Suddenly, Xiao Fan heard the voice of Elder Hao in the herb management warehouse. His heart was slightly moved and he looked over. Opposite Elder Hao, there was a girl who looked about 12 or 13 years old. In the girl's hand, she was chewing a blood-red spiritual fruit. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123 Zhi Yan. So you are very strong? The little girl was dressed in white, with long lavender hair down to her waist. Her cheeks were extremely white and tender, and she looked like a jade sculpture. Very lovable. The little girl muttered, why would I bother to go find it myself? Why would I go find it when there's already one? It's just a 5th level spiritual fruit. Don't stop me, or I'll beat you up. As she spoke, the little girl stretched out her fist and waved it at Elder Hao, as if to protest. Elder Hao was so angry that he trembled when he heard this, but he could do nothing about it. Seeing this, Xiao Fan immediately understood that the little girl in front of him must be Princess Zhi Yan of the Taixu Ancient Dragon Clan. Xiao Fan stepped forward and said with a smile, Elder Hao, what happened? And who is this little girl? When Elder Hao saw Xiao Fan coming, he quickly responded politely, it's not a big deal. Elder Hao, you know, my main responsibility is to manage the medicine warehouse. This little girl often goes to the medicine warehouse to steal herbs to eat. Look, I just returned from the Tanfan refining tower and encountered her stealing herbs again. In addition, she was brought back by the Great Elder, and her name is Zhi Yan. Something happened in the Tanfan refining tower, and Elder Hao was also summoned over just in case. When Zhi Yan heard what Elder Hao said, she looked at Xiao Fan with some curiosity. You are so young and you are also an elder. Xiao Fan smiled slightly. To be an elder, the main thing is strength, not age. Zhi Yan raised her eyebrows slightly. So you are very strong? Elder Hao seemed to have found a backer, and sneered. You don't know yet. Elder Xiao Fan's strength is stronger than the elder. If you mess around in the academy, I will find Elder Xiao Fan to teach you a lesson. And even the elder can't stop you. Zhi Yan looked at Xiao Fan and blinked. Are you really better than old Matsu? Xiao Fan said casually. Not bad. Zhi Yan clenched her fist. Let me try? Xiao Fan said indifferently. Go ahead. Zhi Yan didn't hesitate to hear that, holding the blood-red spiritual fruit in her left hand, and punched Xiao Fan with her right hand. Xiao Fan smiled slightly, stretched out his hand flatly, and easily grasped Zhi Yan's fist. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't move forward at all, and she couldn't pull her fist back. Let me go. Zhi Yan's face turned red from struggling, but she couldn't break free, so she had to shout at Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan let go of Zhi Yan, and because she was using too much force, Zhi Yan retreated 7 or 8 steps in a row due to inertia before she could stabilize her body. She looked at Xiao Fan with a look of surprise. Xiao Fan chuckled and said, "How is it? Do you believe it now?" Zhi Yan frowned and said, "You want to beat me for old man how?" Xiao Fan shook his head slightly. How could that be? However, it is not good for you to go to the Academy's medicine storehouse to get medicine all the time. How about this? If you find any medicine outside, you can call me and go to get it together. Moreover, I can refine the medicine into delicious pills. It tastes bad to eat the medicine directly, right? Zhi Yan's expression relaxed immediately after hearing Xiao Fan's words, and nodded. Yes, the medicine is too unpalatable, but I can only grow faster by eating it continuously. Can you really refine the medicine into delicious pills for me to eat? Xiao Fan nodded and said, of course, but we agreed that you don't go to the medicine storehouse to get medicine casually. By doing this, Xiao Fan can gain the favor of Zhi Yan and Elder Hao at the same time, and Zhi Yan has a talent for treasure hunting, and maybe there will be unexpected gains. Sure enough, when Elder Hao heard Xiao Fan's words, he looked at Xiao Fan with a look of gratitude. Zhi Yan frowned and said, but it's too troublesome to go to the mountains to find medicinal herbs, and most of them are guarded by powerful magical beasts, so they are difficult to obtain. Xiao Fan smiled and said, didn't I tell you, if you find medicinal herbs, you can ask me for help to retrieve them. It's not a problem for magical beasts below the 8th level, or humans below the Zun level. Of course, you have to give me some benefits by then, right? Xiao Fan knew that Zhi Yan was not as innocent as she seemed. If he didn't ask for anything, it might arouse her suspicion, so he made a direct request. Zhi Yan rolled her eyes and looked at Xiao Fan and said, HMPH, you really are not that kind. Xiao Fan said, isn't that kind enough? Then how about this? From now on in Canaan College, and even in the entire Blackhorn region, I will protect you. If anyone dares to bully you, I will stand up for you. Is that okay? Zhi Yan nodded in satisfaction when she heard it. That's more like it, but old man Hao, you have to give me some medicinal herbs every month, otherwise I won't have enough and will have to get them myself. Elder Hao hurriedly said when he heard it. No problem. Zhi Yan waved her hand. Okay, you can go. I have something else to talk to Elder Hao about. Elder Hao cast a look at Xiao Fan, and then left. Xiao Fan said, what do you want to say? Zhi Yan blinked and said, didn't you say that you could make delicious pills out of herbs? First, refine this blood essence fruit in my hand into a pill so I can taste it and see how it tastes. Okay, then follow me. Xiao Fan nodded slightly, then turned around and continued to walk towards his residence. Zhi Yan did not hesitate and followed Xiao Fan directly. Not long after, Xiao Fan brought Zhi Yan back to his residence. Master, you're back. As soon as Xiao Fan entered the house, King Lin greeted him happily. Well, I'm back. Xiao Fan rubbed King Lin's head, replied casually, and then said, I brought you a friend. Zhi Yan followed Xiao Fan and saw how close King Lin and Xiao Fan were. For some reason, she felt a little envious. She had been alone since she was a child, lonely and helpless, and had never had such a sense of closeness. King Lin heard this and then noticed Zhen behind Xiao Fan. Is this the little sister? So cute. King Lin herself looked like she was about 14 or 15 years old, but Zhen was younger than her and looked very delicate, so King Lin liked her very much. In particular, it was the first time that King Lin met a younger sister than her. Of course, Zhen's actual age must be much older than King Lin, but King Lin just didn't know it. Her name is Zhen. Xiao Fan first introduced Zhen to King Lin, and then said to Zhen, this is King Lin. She will join the inner courtyard soon, and you will have to take care of her when the time comes. Zhen nodded. No problem. No one dares to mess with me in the inner courtyard. After a pause, Zhen said to King Lin, I'm not a little sister. You can just call me Zone. Xiao Fan smiled. You guys chat first. I'll make the elixir for Zone. After saying that, Xiao Fan's mind moved slightly, and he took out the automatic alchemy furnace from the system space. It looked no different from an ordinary alchemy furnace. Thinking in his heart, Xiao Fan threw the blood essence fruit directly into it. Because of the existence of the storage ring, Xiao Fan did not have to worry about others suspecting the problem of the system space. Ziyan saw Xiao Fan's action, and immediately opened her eyes wide, staring at the alchemy furnace, only to see that the outer edge of the alchemy furnace suddenly automatically produced a blazing flame, which scared her. Seeing this, Xiao Fan smiled and said, It's okay, this fire won't hurt you. Not long after Xiao Fan finished speaking, the flame on the alchemy furnace went out again. Why did it go out so quickly? Did you ruin my blood essence fruit? Seeing that the flame on the alchemy furnace went out quickly, Ziyan looked at Xiao Fan with some suspicion. Chapter 124, Deducing the Skills. Brothers reunited. Ziyan had seen Elder Huo refining pills before, and it took quite a while, so she was a little skeptical. Although Xiao Fan was a little surprised, the things rewarded by the system never let him down, and he smiled and said, Don't worry, it will definitely not go bad. After that, Xiao Fan reached out and opened the automatic alchemy furnace. Suddenly, a unique fragrance of pills appeared in the room. What a nice smell! Ziyan's big eyes lit up when she smelled the fragrance. Xiao Fan reached into the alchemy furnace, took out 10 red, round pills, and handed them to Ziyan. I didn't lie to you, did I? Here you go. Yeah, thank you, Ziyan said happily after taking the pills. After getting the pills, Ziyan hesitated for a moment, then took out 2 of them with great pain, and handed them to Xiao Fan and King Lin respectively, 1 for each of you. Hearing this, Xiao Fan rubbed Ziyan's cute head. I appreciate your kindness, but this pill is of no use to me, and it's too strong for King Lin. You should eat it yourself, and don't give it to others casually, lest they have problems. After hearing what Xiao Fan said, Ziyan quickly put the 2 pills away. I don't think it's enough for me. If I didn't like you and you helped me refine the pills, I wouldn't give them to you. As for others, don't even think about it. Xiao Fan nodded slightly. Well, eat slowly, and don't eat too much at once. Eat 1 pill and absorb it completely, then take the next one. I know. Ziyan nodded slightly, then rolled her eyes. You said before that you could help me refine the pill. You didn't refine it just this time, right? Xiao Fan nodded and said, Of course not. Ziyan smiled and said, Okay, when I finish eating these pills, I will come to you to refine them for me. In return, I will protect King Lin for you in the academy in the future. If anyone dares to bully King Lin, I will punch him flat. Ziyan waved her fist as if to prove her strength. Xiao Fan said casually, Okay, come to me after you finish eating, but you still have to provide the herbs yourself. With the automatic alchemy furnace, Xiao Fan was not afraid of alchemy at all. Ziyan nodded and said, Yeah, I know. Then I will go back first and come to play with you another day. Brother Xiao Fan, King Lin, goodbye. After that, Ziyan jumped away. Obviously, Xiao Fan gave her the pills and promised to continue to refine pills for her in the future, which won Ziyan a lot of favor. Xiao Fan looked at Ziyan's back and shook his head slightly. In the next few days, Xiao Fan spent every day in the library of Canaan College, constantly comprehending the various techniques and fighting skills in the library. The 2 elders guarding the library were Qian and Bayer, who naturally responded to Xiao Fan's requests and had no problem entering the library at any time. Under the influence of his heaven-defying understanding, a few days later, Xiao Fan had comprehended all the techniques and fighting skills in the library. Not only that, Xiao Fan also deduced these techniques and fighting skills, forming a higher level of techniques and fighting skills, uploaded them to the chat group, and exchanged for a lot of points. Finally, Xiao Fan combined many techniques and fighting skills in the library, and finally deduced his Thunder Emperor due to the intermediate level of the heavenly rank. and the various matching techniques were deduced to the advanced level of the heavenly rank. After perfecting the deduction of the techniques and fighting skills, Xiao Fan was free again. Xiao Fan thought about it and found the great elder Xiao again. Now King Lin's cultivation has reached the Grandmaster level, which meets the admission standards of the inner court. He plans to let King Lin become a student of the inner court to enrich his experience. There is no need for him to stay by his side all the time. After Xiao Fan found Xiao, he only said that King Lin's cultivation had reached the 3-starred Xia level. Despite this, Xiao was very surprised. King Lin was such a genius, and with Xiao Fan's relationship, Xiao immediately obtained the identity certificate of the inner court student for King Lin without hesitation. Xiao Fan took King Lin and found Zhu Yan directly. Zhu Yan, as we agreed last time, you will be in charge of protecting King Lin in the inner courtyard from now on. Of course, if you encounter any problems that you can't solve, you can come to me for help. Zhu Yan patted her chest and said confidently, "Don't worry. There is no trouble in the inner courtyard that I can't solve. It's just that outside the academy, there are still some strong guys who I can't beat at the moment." Xiao Fan rubbed Zhu Yan's head and said with a smile, "We are all students in the academy, so it's better for you to come forward. If you are outside the academy, if anyone dares to mess with you, just ask me to help you." "Yeah, that's no problem." Zhu Yan nodded in agreement after hearing this, and then said, "By the way, I have finished the pills you refined for me before. Please refine some more for me." Xiao Fan said, "Bring the herbs, I will refine them for you right away." Zhu Yan didn't waste any time and quickly took out 4 or 5 good herbs. Xiao Fan threw these pills into the alchemy furnace one by one, and all of them were refined into round pills. The reason why Xiao Fan refined them separately was because he did not know how to refine pills and did not know the combination of medicinal materials. He was worried that he would mix them randomly and refine harmful pills. There would be no such problem if he refined them separately. Not long after, Xiao Fan used the automatic alchemy furnace to refine dozens of pills. In fact, these, strictly speaking, are not pills, but just the processed medicinal materials provided by Zhu Yan. Brother Xiao Fan is still amazing. Every time old man Huo refines pills, it takes a long time. It's so slow. Zhu Yan took the pill and smiled immediately. Xiao Fan rubbed Zhu Yan's head and said to her, "I'm going to leave the academy for a while. During this time, you help me take care of King Lin, okay?" Zhu Yan patted her chest and said, "Don't worry, it's no problem at all." King Lin was a little reluctant and said, "Master, I also want to be with you." Xiao Fan also rubbed King Lin's head and comforted him. "King Lin needs to learn to grow up and make friends, okay? Besides, I won't be away from the academy for too long, and I will be back in no more than 7 days." "Okay, then I'll wait for you to come back at the academy." King Lin nodded and agreed after hearing this. After comforting King Lin, Xiao Fan asked Zhu Yan to take her to the academy, and he went to find Xiao to say goodbye, and then left the academy directly. After leaving the academy, Xiao Fan directly broke through the space, and through the space shuttle, he once again arrived in Shimo City, the base of the Desert Iron Mercenary Group. "Third brother, you're back." Seeing Xiao Fan coming, Xiao Ding and Xiao Li were very happy. The 3 brothers reminisced for a while, and Xiao Fan gave each of them a blood body, asking them to take it to improve their cultivation. In addition, he gave each of them another one for healing. Of course, Xiao Fan told them that the blood body was obtained recently. Xiao Ding and Xiao Li didn't think much about it, and each took a blood body, and their cultivation was directly improved from a 1-star Grand Fighter to a 5-star Grand Fighter. After the 2 men completed their breakthrough, Xiao Fan gave them instructions, but he went to the territory of the Snake People. Since they have come to Shimo City, there is no reason not to go and see Queen Medusa. Chapter 125 Kylin's Thoughts and Xiao Fan's Plan. Deep in the Tagar Desert, in the center of a huge city where snakemen gather, there is a luxurious palace complex, where Queen Medusa lives. At this moment, in the spacious and luxurious hall, Kylin was leaning lazily on the chair, with her hand on her abdomen, her face showing a rare softness, and she whispered, "I don't know what that bad guy is doing now, or he has long forgotten us mother and daughter." "Daughter, What do you think? Perhaps pregnant women are always a little sensitive and worried about gains and losses, and Kailin, the queen of the snake man, is no exception. At first, Kailin and Xiao Fan didn't seem to have much affection, but as time passed, and with the common blood of both parties in her body, Kailin's feelings for Xiao Fan gradually became stronger, especially when she was alone. Kailin didn't control herself forcefully, and occasionally she would show her true feelings. Suddenly, Kailin's face changed slightly, and she was full of vigilance, because she sensed that there was a fluctuation in space not far outside the hall. Soon, Kailin discovered that not far from the main hall, a space passage appeared, and a figure in green was walking out of the space passage. After seeing the figure's face clearly, Kailin immediately relaxed her guard, but she put on a cold look on her face. Why are you here? Has the heavenly soul melting blood pill been refined? The person who came was naturally Xiao Fan, who came from the Desert Iron mercenary group. Not yet. Xiao Fan shook his head slightly, and then said, I missed you. Can't I come to see you? Kailin said lightly, this king will not fall for your tricks. You should gather the herbs as soon as possible and find someone to refine the heavenly soul melting blood pill. Although she said this, Kailin was actually in a good mood. Kailin didn't expect that she was still talking about Xiao Fan just now, and in the blink of an eye, she saw Xiao Fan himself. It seems that Xiao Fan has not forgotten her and her daughter. Xiao Fan said, I have found the person who makes the elixir, and the medicinal materials are also being collected. There is no need to rush. Come, let me listen to our daughter's movements first. As he said that, Xiao Fan walked directly to Kailin, and regardless of her objection, he picked her up and walked towards the chair. Then, Xiao Fan sat on the chair, put medicine on his legs, leaned down, put his head on Kailin's belly, and pretended to listen. Kailin thought Xiao Fan wanted to do something bad to her at first, but when she saw Xiao Fan listening carefully, her eyes couldn't help but reveal a bit of tenderness, and she whispered, how can it be so fast? The elder also told you before that it may take 3 to 5 years for our Medusa clan to get pregnant. At least we have to wait for more than a year before there will be any movement, right? Xiao Fan listened for a while, and indeed did not hear any movement, but he used his soul power to sense, and he could sense the existence of a weak breath of life. After a while, Xiao Fan sat up again, casually put his arm around Kailin's waist, and said softly, although there is no other movement, I can sense the breath of life. Our daughter has good vitality. However, just in case, try not to do anything during your pregnancy. Kailin nodded and said, don't worry, I know. Then, Xiao Fan stayed in the snake tribe to accompany Kailin, chatting casually, or strolling around the city, just as a relaxing life. 3 days later, Xiao Fan said goodbye to Kailin and returned to Shimo City again. After returning to the Desert Iron mercenary group, Xiao Fan went straight to Xiao Ding and Xiao Li. Big brother, second brother, you make arrangements to hand over the mercenary group to trustworthy people, and leave with me. Xiao Ding was puzzled when he heard this. Third brother, what do you mean? Xiao Li also looked at Xiao Fan, waiting for his answer. Xiao Fan said, I am now one of the elders of Canaan College, and you, big brother and second brother, both have good talents. I plan to bring you to join Canaan College. Not only you, but also Yanzi, then the 4 of us brothers can get together. Xiao Li frowned and said, we are living well outside, why should we go to Canaan College? The environment in the college is probably too comfortable for us, right? Xiao Fan smiled faintly, you underestimate Canaan College. After joining the college, let alone the fighting among disciples within the college, there are also many places where magical beasts live in the depths of the college, and it will be the same for you to train there. In addition, I believe you also know the name of the Black Horn domain. If you don't like to stay in the college all the time, you can also go out occasionally and fight in the Black Horn domain. It's decided. The training effect in the college will definitely exceed your imagination, and it will also allow you to completely consolidate the realms you have broken through one after another. With such a good training cheat like the Tanfan Refining Shi Tower, Xiao Fan naturally has to make full use of it. The second brother Xiao Li is the same age as himself, and the eldest brother Xiao Ding is only 3 years older. They are already 5-star masters, which is enough to join the inner courtyard of Canaan College. What's more, There is also the elder himself. Xiao Ding pondered for a moment, and then said, "Let's make a deal first. If we are not used to the academy, we have to come back and continue to be our mercenaries." Xiao Fan nodded and said, "Okay, you arrange the mercenary group first. I will take you home, and then go to Canaan College." "Okay." Xiao Ding agreed, and then went with Ali to arrange the matters of the mercenary group. After staying in the mercenary group for another day, Xiao Fan took Xiao Ding and Xiao Lian directly opened a space wormhole to return to the Xiao family in Yunnan City. The ability of Space Shuttle is very fast when used to travel. In less than a quarter of an hour, the three brothers Xiao Fan returned to the Xiao family in Yunnan City. What surprised Xiao Fan was that Xiao Yan also returned to the Xiao family. "Big brother, second brother, third brother, you are all back, so great." Seeing Xiao Fan and the other two coming back, Xiao Yan said excitedly, "Since they separated in the Modi mercenary group last time, the four brothers have not been together for some time." Xiao Zhan was also very happy to know that Xiao Fan and the other two brothers had returned. Xiao Ding and Xiao Li had not been back for several years since they left the Xiao family to establish a mercenary group. Now, they are finally reunited as a family. After the family finished reminiscing about the past, Xiao Fan also talked about business. "I came back this time, on the one hand, to give you a spiritual fruit that can improve your strength, and on the other hand, I am going to take my eldest brother, second brother and little Yanzi to Canaan College." Xiao Zhan smiled when he heard this. It's indeed a good thing that everyone is going to Canaan College. "But, can Dinger and Liar join too?" Xiao Fan smiled. "Father, don't worry, my eldest brother and second brother are now 5-star grade fighting masters, so there is no problem for them to join Canaan College." Little Yanzi is almost 16 years old and is already a 7-star fighting master, so he is naturally qualified. Xiao Yan scratched his head and chuckled. "Actually, I came back this time to prepare to take the assessment and join Canaan College. I heard that the recruitment team of Canaan College is about to arrive in Yunnan City." Xiao Fan said, "Let the other disciples of the Xiao family take the assessment normally. You come with me, and I will take you directly into the inner courtyard. But before that, Dad and little Yanzi, you should take the spiritual fruit first." As he said that, Xiao Fan took out 2 blood bodhisattvas and handed them to Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan respectively. Xiao Zhan and Xiao Yan were not polite and each put away the blood bodhisattvas. Afterwards, the family chatted for a few more words and then dispersed. Xiao Fan pondered for a moment and prepared to go to the mitre auction house to meet Yif. Kai Lin was pregnant, so he couldn't do anything. Yif, this fairy, was pretty good. Xiao Fan was about to go find Yif, and suddenly he sensed that someone in the chat group had him, so he immersed his consciousness in the chat group and checked the messages in the group. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.